Build 42 has arrived, and with it has come a wave of both brand new and returning players. So in today's video, I'll be aiming to help you survive your first day in the new update, whether you're a complete newbie or a seasoned veteran. The idea of this video will be to take you along with me as I survive my first day in a new playthrough on Build 42, talking through all my decisions as I make them, what I might be choosing to focus on, and some general tips related to new features in the update as I'm experiencing them in real time. Hopefully you find this video useful. I'm working on a bunch of other videos for Build 42 right now, so if you want to see more of this kind of thing after watching, just let me know in the comments. Without further ado, this is how to survive your first day in Build 42. Okay, so we are going to be jumping in, and the idea of this video is going to be sort of like just talk about my decisions on the first day and helping you guys at home with the best strategies for the first day. Obviously, this is a little bit different to what I usually do, so it might not be like, you know, quite as thought out and as punctual, but hopefully you enjoy this new format, and it'll be interesting for you guys to like sort of hear what I'm thinking at the time in which I'm making decisions. This is a really nice thing straight away about Build 42. If you're brand new to the game, you can now use the map itself when you're ready to spawn in to give you just a general idea of where you are on the map. You can't really plan much with it. There are some key locations, like, you know, if we go to Muldraw here, you can see where the police department is. You can see the gas station is right on the south end. So that kind of information can be good just to know right off rip. We're gonna pick Rosewood as our first location. It's a tried and true classic for Project Zomboid and is known to be the easiest location for new players. That said, we now have Echo Creek, which is new, and I think could be in serious contention. It doesn't have quite as many useful locations to it, in my opinion, but it's a lot more rural, and it could offer a lot more in the way of like a beginner-friendly experience to just finding your feet. I'm intrigued to see if that takes over Rosewood, but we're going to go with Rosewood to start with. When it comes to picking your first occupation, I am a big advocate for new players to start with custom occupation, or what used to be called unemployed. Reason for that is you get a bunch of trait points, and with the new build, you actually, like, a lot of the negative traits have been nerfed, and you do actually need to take some serious negatives to gain positives. So having that 8 free points is going to be really good for you, and also it will allow you to put some points into things that will directly impact combat. And combat, when you're starting out, is going to be one of the most difficult things that you can learn. You will need time to figure it out. So any leg up that you can get for combat early game is going to be really appreciated. So we're going to take Slow Healer, Weak Stomach, and Prone to Illness. These are like 3 traits that I still think are pretty much free points. Now, you might want to go as a new player, you might want to go without Slow Healer. Depends how likely you think you are to get injured. Personally, I find that injuries, if you're likely to sustain them, they're probably going to be bites anyway, and you're going to want to restart your game. 9 times out of 10, if you get injured, it's going to be a zombie infection, and that's probably going to be GG for you, at least in my experience. So these are 3 that I like to start with. Slow Healer is optional. Cat's Eyes has gotten a lot stronger now because night is a lot more harsh in Build 42, but also more atmospheric. Is very, very cool. From here, we still have 16 points to spend as unemployed. Now, again, we're focusing on the early game experience, so we could get things like carpentry, sure. Why, you know, that would be great. But realistically, if you're only surviving like a week, 2 weeks, there's really no need. We can focus more on the stuff that's going to give you a boost in the early game. So we're going to take Brave, and we're going to take Strong. And there is a reason behind that. Muscle Strain is a new mechanic to Project Zomboid. We'll go over that in a bit more detail soon. But Strength, along with 2 other things, will impact how much muscle strain you gain. Strength seems to be, we're still figuring it out right now, but it seems to be the least effective for muscle strain. More so, things like weapon skill and the weight of the weapon seem more impactful than strength, but it's still nice to have. It will also increase your carry weights, it will increase knockback from melee weapons, and the more strength you have, the more damage you'll do. So it's great. It's a good one to get early on. That's going to leave us with 2 points, and really, this can go anywhere. It's not like a huge deal. I think I'm going to go for Fast Reader, but really the choice is yours. If you're wondering why we've taken some of these perks, Brave is one I didn't really talk through. Brave is basically responsible for reducing panic. Panic in general is a negative thing because the more panicked you are, the less accurate you will be with weapons. Therefore, the more hits it will take, the more muscle strain you will build, and the more likely you are to be overwhelmed. So again, for new players, Brave can be very handy for just learning combat mechanics. Random player, doesn't really matter too much, but let's find something we like. That'll do nicely, and we'll get a full beard. Why not? Now, I've got somebody, we are streaming this on Twitch as well, and I've got somebody asking about the traits Smoker, Hard of Hearing, and Conspicuous. So Hard of Hearing, I would advise against for new players. Also, from a pure viewing perspective, me taking Hard of Hearing on this particular run is probably not advisable because it's not enjoyable for viewers, but I wouldn't advise it for new players because it is a little bit of a handicap. Smoker is an option, sure. It does give you 2 more items to look out for, and it has been nerfed in build 42, so it doesn't really give you as many trait points. It is an option, definitely. And Conspicuous, I would advise against taking Conspicuous right now until we know a little bit more about like zombie aggro mechanics. Zombie aggro and awareness has changed in build 42, and sneaking is very viable now. I don't know how Conspicuous is going to affect that currently, so I wouldn't just default to it until we know a little bit more. In build 41, it didn't do it really, yeah, it didn't do anything. It just increases the speed at which they would spot you, but realistically the difference is like a couple seconds, so it didn't really make any difference at all. But we're not sure like how that will work with build 42, so need to learn a little bit more before I advise that one. Okay, let's jump in. Okay, so we have 1 hour days, so we need to make the most of our time. I'm gonna turn this TV right down because that will draw zombies. Now, straight away when you jump in, the cook show will be on Life and Living. It is up to you whether you want to watch this or not. Not a huge deal, but if you really want to min-max, we can watch this show right away. Take 5 minutes of our time, less than, and we'll gain a little bit of cooking XP right out of the gate. You have 2 options when it comes to Life and Living. You can either watch it at the start and gain the XP early, or you can choose not to watch it at all and go for getting the VHS tapes later once you've had a chance to read skill books that will give you multipliers to XP. Those are your 2 choices. Me personally, I always like to watch Life and Living early because the boost early game is very, very helpful, but later on you will still find that like you've got most of the skills you need to do the tasks you want to do, and you can farm XP later. So that's taken all of a couple of minutes. The times for Life and Living that you need to be aware of are 6 a.m. for the cooking show, midday for carpentry, and 6 p.m. for the exposure survival show, which is like loads of different types of skills like farming and anything to do with survival, fishing, that kind of thing. Obviously, like straight away, we want to start by looting the spawn house. We've got a t-shirt here, which I'm going to rip into some rags straight up. Also in build 42, we get given a pistol straight out of the gate. Now, me personally, I'm going to throw this away because obviously it won't be here forever. It's just for testing purposes. So right now it's kind of, we don't want you to get comfortable with that. So we've ripped some stuff up for rags. These can be used as bandages should we get an injury. And if you didn't know, there's something new that's been added in build 42. You can now turn a sheet into a sheet sling bag, which straight away you can just pull down some curtains and we've got a backpack just like that. Really, really handy thing to know. And just like that, we've got 12 more carry weight. There will never be zombies in your spawn house as well if you're in single player. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, we've got a key. So this is a great opportunity for me to talk about keys. Keys now like have weight to them in build 42. So when we find a key, straight away, I'm going to go with a naming convention for them to help me track where they are, right? So we're in Rosewood as our location, the spawn area. So what we're going to do is we're going to rename this key R1. Rosewood 1. And this is the only way that I've really found that we can keep on top of these new keys. There are already mods out there that will allow you to remove the weight from keys that work with build 42. We're going to take a pencil. That will now allow me to mark my map. That's a nice find. And we found a plunger, which isn't a great weapon, but it is still a weapon. I am assuming that this key will probably work for this building, but it's not necessarily true in build 42. There's a lot more randomization with keys now, especially if you find them on a zombie. The zombie could just have wandered from wherever they spawned. That key could be more related to their spawn location and not be very useful to you. So that's why we have this new system for like renaming them. Lead pipe. Okay, that's a good find. That's a more reliable weapon. We are, however, going to keep the plunger. Even if it's not a great weapon, we're going to keep it as a spare, just in case. Lots of camera film down here, so nothing really else for us to use, but we've got our first weapon. So all we're doing is searching the building. We're focusing on finding something that we can arm ourselves with. Now, there is nothing wrong with us using this as a temporary safe house to start with. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to explore our local area. This is going to be our temporary safe house. Now, we've confirmed that this building is where the key R1 is used. So straight away, I can mark on my map that this is R1. And we'll put a little home symbol as well, because it's our safe house. Okay, so we're going to keep our first day very simple. We're essentially just going to loot the nearby area, check out the neighbors' houses, and see what we can find. We don't need to get too complex with our first day. Now, fences, probably shouldn't have hopped that fence. The fences can offer you a very good way to reduce the amount of muscle strain you are building. Every action I take, like jumping fences, fighting zombies, is going to build muscle strain. But by using fences, we can reduce the amount of muscle strain that's building up. We now know that this key is R2. So again, R2. Just like that. Really simple system to track your keys. I'm going to turn the Life and Living show on just in case the carpentry show begins while I'm here. We're looking for a watch, which would allow us to keep an eye on the time. Some boots here with some higher protection. We'll slightly reduce my run speed. Life and Living's on now, so this is the most important one. Is at the door, so we've got a minute. This is the most important one of the lot because it's going to build our carpentry level, and carpentry leads into a lot of new crafting stuff as well as stuff you'll be familiar with from Build 41 if you've played it before. A lot of stuff to do with animal husbandry, for example, which is new in Build 42, requires carpentry to build certain things that your animals will need. So again, we kind of want to get that nice and early if we can. Let's deal with this zombie now. Now, I wouldn't have to fight this guy if I don't want to, really. We've got a little bit of time with this door. You can see how I'm stomping on the zombies to preserve a little bit of my weapon durability. That can opener is massive for us. We're going to take the bologna because it's fresh food, and we'll eat that as we go. Now, this is another thing. We're going to grab a couple of cans if we find them, but early on, I'm not going to focus too much on grabbing things like tinned food. We're going to focus on eating the fresh stuff and bringing that with us, and we're not going to carry too much food around with us because right now, there's really no need. I can come back for that tinned food anytime. Killers, good item. Tweezers, good item. We can use that to remove glass from the body, and this one will obviously reduce pain, which would be good if we build up too much muscle strain. Yeah, we're not going to carry too much food around with us because we want to focus more on the stuff that's going to be essential to our survival, and food at this time can be found pretty much anywhere. We are going to take this pillow, however. Really important, when you sleep with a pillow, you can see we get sleep, comfort, good with pillow. So we get a bonus for having a pillow. Now we can just take that and we'll throw it on our bed at base, and that'll be it. Or we can take it around with us and deploy it whenever we need it by placing it on a bed. And again, I'm just searching everything right now. If we had smoker, there's a lighter here with a tiny bit of fuel. We've already found some cigarettes downstairs, so smoker in this run would have played out pretty nicely, but that's okay. Not really losing anything. The zombies here, nothing too strenuous. And you will notice this as well. In Build 42, your spawn areas in general will have less zombies. The way that Build 42 has changed zombie distribution is quite heavy. In spawn areas like this, it's suburban. We've got like a few zombies here, but easy enough to avoid them, especially with how their aggro has been changed. And I'll get into that in a little bit more detail soon. But your spawn areas will be a little bit quieter. Now, high loot areas are busier than ever. And as we get into like high streets and stuff like that, there will be a lot more zombies. The idea is that, you know, we can loot our nearby buildings and not really have to worry too much. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about whether we miss the stuff that's on the survival show at 6 p.m. It would be nice to catch it. It is a nice bonus, but it's not something I have to worry about too much at this time because those skills are more for long-term survival, and we aren't going to worry about that too much in this run because we're a new player gaining some experience with the game. We are going to take the wood saw. That's going to give us the capability to saw up some planks. Now we just need an axe and we'll be able to get some planks. Great way to level carpentry, but more importantly, we can barricade our home. We would also need nails and a hammer to do that. So zombie aggro has also been changed in Build 42. They are definitely not as easy to pull their attention nowadays. Where's that guy? Looking for the rock on the door. He's not there. Significantly more difficult to pull their attention, which is good. Gives us more options. We can sneak around a little bit more. You can see these two zombies are like right out on the lawn and they're not even phased right now. Now I did notice that the heart symbol up here just shook a little bit, which means we had a little bit of muscle strain just kicking in. Though I am keeping an eye on this. Now there's a few zombies building up, so I think we're gonna make a decision here and we're gonna back out. And that is one of the most important things about Project Zomboid, especially in the early stages, is make a decision quickly. Don't hesitate. I don't want to decide to fight those zombies and then get overwhelmed. My decision there was there are 2 out the front that I'm likely to aggro. There are at least 2 outside this window. That's 4. I don't really want to fight them, so we're gonna move on, okay? And it's as simple as that. I don't need to run. I don't need to panic. I don't need to waste like gaining fatigue. Don't need to worry about that. Build up more muscle strain. We're just gonna change direction and go loot a different building. That's it. Take a little snack. Muscle strain is going to be a very tough mechanic for a lot of people, and I think generally speaking the biggest thing about it is just to take things a little slower. Make sure you're resting if you start to build muscle strain. Take smaller fights and think about what you're doing. You don't necessarily need to take all these fights. You can sneak around. That said, there is a zombie there that I like the look of. They've got a couple backpacks on them and I might be interested in trying to gain those, right? Getting thirsty, so we're going to dip into home base here and get a drink real quick. So we're going to try and pull some of these zombies away one by one, and I'll demonstrate how to do that here in a second. I want to rename that key that we got to R3, and I believe the residence was this one, if I'm not mistaken. So we're on to the next one. I've seen some zombies I like with stuff that I want, and we're going to take them. Before I do that, just to demonstrate here, we have a new flyer. These are new in build 42. Really cool. Not just for show though. There is something that's actually useful about these. This little button down the bottom right will bring up your map, and we'll show you where that location on the map is. That is now permanently discovered for me. It will always be on my map as discovered. I can discard this now. I have learned something. I know there is a gun range over in Echo Creek, and I know where it is. I could mark that on the map if I wanted to. Now that I've found it, I could draw on my map and add their guns or something and just show that now I know where it is. Again, we're just using a fence to minimize how many hits we need to take. I'm gonna keep the health tab on screen. The reason I'm going to keep the health tab up is we're just going to keep an eye on the muscle strain. If you're a little bit worried about that, you're going into a situation where you're going to be taking on multiple zombies, just pull up your health panel and keep an eye on the muscle strain, and you'll see that I'm just, every time I get aggro, I'm just backing up. I'm pulling one away, I'm backing up a little bit. We've got a couple others there. I don't know if they've been aggroed yet. Zombies have a little bit of a variation in speed now in build 42. Looks like this one's seen me. She's about to if she hasn't. We're just pulling them away one by one, so we might be able to get a bit closer now safely. If I want to preserve my weapon's durability a little bit, I can push them over instead. We do want to keep an eye on the weapon durability, but right now it's not even phased. No damage to the condition at all. Now there's one of the zombies with a backpack. That is the one we want. I'm after the backpack. Backpack is a very useful item early on, and then we can get back to looting our local area. It really is no more complicated than that. We're not doing any big loot runs on day one. We're just looking for the basics. Now, if you see that top right there, the new Moodle just came up. That's just letting me know that there's a bad smell. If I were to stay in this area for too long, that would result in my character feeling a little bit sick and potentially getting corpse sickness, which we want to avoid. But it's, generally speaking, that doesn't kick in for a while, so we should be fine. Now we have a vehicle key here, I believe. Wrecked dash bull driver. So this is a survivor zombie. These are really good to come across early on. We have some very useful items on them a lot of the time. So again, muscle strain's not really kicking in yet. A lot of people are very not much enjoying the new muscle strain mechanic, but so far I've not had too many issues with it, as long as we take things a little bit slower. You're not going in fighting big hordes right from the get-go, you'll be fine. So we're upgrading to a bigger bag here that will reduce encumbrance a little bit more. So the encumbrance reduction is 70% with this new one. My current one is only 60%, and it carries more weight, so it's a straight upgrade. Now we have a new bag. I know that I'm going to need all of this. I really don't think we need seed packets right now. We can read this map. for Louisville North, and then drop the map, because we're not going to need it anymore. That will be permanently marked on our map from here. Hunting vest does give us a bit of protection. It would probably make me very warm, though. We're going to collect the pipe wrench. We've got a fanny pack here, the extra container. Usually I use these to carry essentials. Things like medical supplies tends to be my first go-to. So I'll put my tweezers, my painkillers, my alcohol wipes. Will all of it fit? No. Okay, so we need to ditch one rag. That's fine. And we'll put our alcohol wipes in there. And that's it. And that will reduce encumbrance by 85% for anything that's in there. So you could use that for different items. I like to use it for medicals, whatever you fancy. I'm going to take another bite to eat here. Don't want to get too hungry. The reason behind that is that if our weight is going down and it goes below 75, then we will become low weight, which can affect our stats. We want to keep it between 75 and 80 is the sweet spot. Okay, so we've set off a house alarm. This could be a disaster. House alarms are your biggest threat early on. So straight away, I've made a very quick decision that I want to get out of there. I do not want to hang around. I do not want to wait to see if it's okay. We are getting out of here right away. And immediately, I'm only going to have to deal with zombies from one direction. Now, if I had a minute, I would try and grab some sheets and maybe put them over this window so that I wouldn't get spotted. The other option is obviously we can use the basement to cut off the zombies' line of sight. But if they don't see us, they won't aggro. So we just give it a minute, let those zombies wander in. And these annotated maps that I'm reading now are useful as well. Sort of give us a little bit of an update here. So this is probably going to be like a survivor house. Good, secure houses, but be careful clearing backyards. We can use that info if we want to. Kind of not important to me right now, so we don't need to worry too much. Let's wander upstairs. One broken window. Now that's a bit of a pain, because that's leaving me open to zombie attack in the night. But it's not the end of the world. We do have other things that we can do. Shut the bedroom doors and everything. Hopefully we get the chance to get some stuff to barricade our windows. It is not the end of the world. Now, I'm going to take a look and see how many zombies have been pulled by that alarm. So you can see immediately, even just looking at this side of the building, we made the right decision getting out of there when we did. House alarms, deadly, and we do not want to risk it at this stage. So instead, we're going to take a different direction. We're going to go down here and we're going to loot these buildings. And now we know that house is alarmed. That house, I believe, I'll probably have to come back and confirm this in the editing. I believe that house would be alarmed until the power goes off. So a handful could be used to plant crops, but not really something we're worried about right now. Now the basement. Now let's see here. Is this open? It is. Can we use scotch for this? I'm not 100% sure. So you need alcohol for this, but I don't think this one works. There are certain types of alcohol that we can use to disinfect rags, which will reduce the chances of an infection, and is also useful if you have an infected wound to get rid of that infection. Alternative options include boiling water and disinfecting rags that way. We did have somebody in chat saying that that no longer works in build 42. If that is the case, I would assume that is a bug and will be fixed. Okay, we have a screwdriver here. Screwdrivers are very useful items for a lot of crafting, and also on top of that can be used with cars. A lot of mechanics work requires screwdrivers, and they're pretty lightweight to carry. I'm going to take this extra steel bar here, check on my lead pipe. Oh, it's doing great, no trouble at all. Now, gathering extra weapons early on is, in my opinion, one of the best things that you can do in the early game. Gathering just a couple of extra weapons. Some weapons, unlike this lead pipe, you will break very quickly, especially if you're unlucky with your finds early on. Things like rolling pins, things like pans, stuff like that are not designed for combat and will break quite easily. So having these spares is going to be very useful. Here we go. Blue and red pen. Excellent. That's better for our map marking. Priorities. Obviously not a massive thing for some players. I personally like to mark my map and use them. Not everybody cares. So we don't have too much food back at base, so I am going to grab this canned food. But again, we don't want to worry about it too much. See, all of this here, I'm actually going to make the decision at this point that I'm going to get rid of these canned items. So I've not got too much carry weight available in my backpack. I'm instead going to grab all of these items that will go out of date. I can come back for these canned foods anytime I like. Water bottle is huge. huge. This is one of the most important items early on. Having this in your direct inventory, which means it has to be in this top box here, my character will drink from this automatically. I can fill it at a sink, should it have been used already, and I can use it anytime I like to top up my water. Again, early on, my weight's still going down, so I can really pig out and just eat what I find right now. I'm gonna make a bowl of cereal with this stuff on the table. All of this stuff is gonna go out of date soon. Using it early, keep my character gaining weight. We have nothing to lose. Well, we've got a moment here. We can talk about our carry weight. So as you can see, my backpack is pretty much full. So now anything else that I want to carry has to go in my direct inventory. And the way the backpack works is it basically reduces the weight of anything that's put in it. But if I start overloading my main inventory, we will start to have issues. So I can carry like a couple of extra things here. We can actually pick up the tinned food that we put away before, and we're still fine right now. So I think it's about time we go back to base. But basically, if I let this go above 18, my character will start to have issues with carrying things. If I am hungry, especially as it gets worse, if I start to get hungry, that carrying capacity will be reduced. So we want to try and make sure that we're keeping up with that. And if I carry too much weight for too long, I'll start to cause my character some pain. He'll start to take damage. Get an extra backpack here. There's a small backpack. Same as the one we've got. Now, these corpses are going to pose an issue to us at some points because they will stink. Being around them a lot is going to cause me issues. We'll worry about that later. Again, first day. Right now, our main concern is gathering some loot, getting things prepared. We don't need to worry too much about things like that right now. Our priority should be on looting the nearby area, getting as much stuff as we can for surviving these first couple days, going from there. Now, you'll notice I'm using the freezer compartment here. Quite simply, anything that we put in the freezer compartment will last longer, as you would imagine. Now the freezer compartment is going to be smaller, so really I'm only keeping stuff in the fridge that I want to cook very soon. You can just throw stuff straight from the freezer into the oven to defrost it. It will obviously just take a little bit longer to cook. We're going to drop anything that I think I'm not going to immediately need. Things like steel bars. Things like the wood saw, things like extra weaponry. It's all going to be dropped for now. We'll keep some food to keep us going. We have a bookcase in here I can use. Doesn't look like we have a bookcase. This is maybe one upstairs. So we'll say that this container here can hold our books for now. Again, this is just sort of like our temporary base. You can always move later if you would like to. Right now, there's nothing wrong with turning this into our first base. I like to place items just because it looks cool in the environment. You don't have to do that, obviously. There's no benefit to doing so. And we've just narrowed down our inventory quite considerably. We can go looting again. Now, I am worried about all these zombies literally across the street from us that have been brought over by this alarm. So we're gonna try not to draw their attention. That was very poor luck on our part, having that alarm go off so close to home. So it may be in our best interest to look to move sooner rather than later. Interesting. I didn't know that. The doghouse has a pillow. I wonder what the chances of spawn is on that. Doghouses never used to be lootable in Build 41. Also worth checking out these little mailboxes from time to time. They will often have like skill magazines. You might get lucky and find a generator magazine in them, which is obviously going to be huge for later survival. They will teach you how to operate generators. No, water's fine for now. All topped up, no problems. Nothing in here we need. Now, it's getting pretty late. I can tell by the lighting outside. I was hoping to find a watch by now, to be honest, but it is getting dark, which is telling me that it's going to be getting late. Now, normally, I would be looking for a watch ASAP. We can use that to set an alarm to essentially keep us on a decent sleep schedule, which is really, really, really important in the early stages, especially because we want to keep up with those TV shows. We can't do that, of course, if we're sleeping. The one upside of this alarm going off is that it seems to have drawn some zombies to that building away from other areas. I'm gonna keep checking these zombies because I would really, 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 really like to find a watch. A couple zombies here. Okay, so we're starting to get tired, which is how we know it is getting late. So I'm gonna try and kill these zombies as quickly as possible before this tiredness really starts to kick in. The more tired you are, the less damage you will do to zombies. It will take you more hits. Me doing this is obviously going to make me more tired as well. We've got another key here, which I'm guessing might be for this building, but we'll see. We've got some muscle strain kicking in, so we need to keep an eye on that. Nothing in the car of use. We've got a bandage. Ah, a watch. Okay, huge find. Huge find. So now I know it is midnight. So straight away, I'm gonna make the decision to go get some sleep, because if I'm up much longer, I'm gonna miss the TV shows in the morning, and a lot of effort would have been wasted. Now, if I had sheets, extra curtains, I could put them up over the windows. Probably something that I could have done very early would have been going to neighboring buildings and covering the windows with sheets. Now, we've made the decision now, so I'm gonna have to live with it. But on day 2, I think that is gonna be my next priority, is to try and cover my safe house a little bit, cut off their vision of my movements. But for now, we sleep. And hopefully, day 2, we wake up around the right time. So we've missed the cook show, but we're up at 8 a.m. I could have set an alarm to catch the cook show on day 2, but I've chosen not to because I think it's more important for me to catch Life and Living at 12 for the carpentry show, and I want to maintain a really good sleep schedule right now. The cook show is not too important. Cooking is honestly not that key of a skill in Project Zomboid. Okay, so day 2 of our 7-day playthrough. Now, bodies. I think we should focus on try and move some of these if we can. The problem with this process is in build 42, this builds a little bit of muscle strain. So we do want to keep an eye on it because I really don't want to wear my character out already. We may just have to take a break. Now, interestingly, between day 1 and day 2, the developers pushed a hotfix for build 42. And in that hotfix, muscle strain with melee weapons has been reduced from 1.0 to 0.6 as a base value. That's something to keep in mind, that muscle strain is now not quite as harsh when you're using melee weapons as it was on the initial release if you've been playing since launch. We have plenty of food. We definitely want to throw some of this in the freezer. Again, I'm throwing basically everything in the freezer that I don't want to use within like the next 24 hours or so. Everything else is going in the containers. I'm trying to keep things relatively organized just so that I can find it easily and I'm not wasting any time. In terms of what we're looking for loot-wise, things are going to be very similar to what we were looking for on day 1. Realistically, we are looking for tools more than anything and a working vehicle. And this was something that like we didn't talk about much about in day 1 because we were focusing on looting sort of the immediate area. We want to be putting a lot of focus on vehicles because vehicles are, I would say, like the single largest progressive barrier in Project Zomboid. Once you have a vehicle, the game really opens up. Well, we are looking for tools and things like that. We also want to keep our eyes out for a vehicle that works, and we've got one here. I think we checked this one and it wasn't quite drivable. Now, I could have opened this window to get through here, but something I do want to explain very quickly. Broken windows. If you want to safely remove broken glass from a window, which you should be doing because climbing through it will damage you, make sure you have an implement in your primary, like in your hand. As long as you have a weapon in your hand, your character will use that weapon to clear the window. If you don't have a weapon in your hand, then you risk injury. The same goes for actually breaking the window. We want to break the window with a weapon. It's perfectly safe to do so as long as you have a weapon. If you don't, your character's going to use their elbow and risks injury. So we always want to do that where we can. It is 10 a.m. Sleeping pills could be handy. These are like an optional medical that we want to try and pick up where we can because keeping a sleep schedule is super important. I'm going to grab this ham. We can snack on that throughout the day. We have a can opener already. We do, so we don't need that. A bottle opener would be useful, sure. In build 42, it's also worth me mentioning that there are attachments for your keyring that can function as a bottle opener as well. You can also find I believe it's called a handy knife that functions as a bottle opener, a can opener. I believe it functions as a knife and a corkscrew as well. I've lost track of one of these keys already, which is not ideal. So I got to remember that. Mark this as R4. Most keys that you find in buildings like this are generally for the same building. You see we have the unlock button here. But the ones we find on zombies, obviously the zombie might have wandered. I do want to try and get into some garages, and I think these garages, that one down there had a window. I don't know if this one does, so we might not be able to get in there. But I also want to keep my eyes on the time, because we're coming around to when Life and Living is going to kick off again, and I do want to try and catch that. This is mostly an empty house. Make sure to fill up our water bottles regularly. Now, when I mentioned finding a vehicle earlier, an alternative build that we could have gone for our character that is a very popular one for new starter players is burglar, because they can hotwire vehicles, which is a huge bonus to have early on. If you can't find keys for cars, obviously the burglar is just able to get around that. Can be a massive help, but I would argue that if you're a brand new player, or even a returning player with the introduction of things like muscle strain and the new zombie aggro, really we want to be focusing on fundamentals. The fundamentals on combat, the fundamentals of zombie aggro, and I would say it is perfectly reasonable for us to die many times over while learning this process in the first couple of days of a playthrough and actively trying to learn than it is to try avoid combat as much as you can, avoid zombies, find a car, you know, you set up at the perfect safe house, and then the first zombie fight you take 14 days in and you lose everything, right? It is a much more important part of the process to just learn how to play first before worrying about setting up at the perfect safe house. Now, it is getting around to midday. There was no TV in that house that I saw, so we're gonna head back to one where I know there was a TV, and we're gonna catch Life and Living. Now, just to save a little bit of time, if I've got any books on me, I think I've only got the one. We can read that book, and it's perfectly viable for you to watch Life and Living and read a book at the same time. And we can sit down now, so why don't we use that feature? So we're on intermediate carpentry, and we'll just sit here until this show finishes, gain some more carpentry for our character, and then we're gonna try and focus on looting some garages, try and get our hands on some tools, some garages, some sheds, try and get our hands on some hammers, some axes, some saws, things like that. There are a lot of early game items that you'll be trying to get your hands on. Can be quite difficult to track sometimes. So if you find yourself, you know, losing track at all, after all, you know, you're going to be looking for things like can openers, bottle openers, axes, saws, hammers, a bottle to hold your water, backpacks, bandages, medical supplies, all of that stuff. If you would rather, you can always just write up yourself a little notepad document, or even just scribble it down on a piece of paper and check it off as you go. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So we've gained an extra half a level from watching that show. Watching shows does become less effective as time goes on, because obviously you need more XP for each level, which is where your skill books come in. And by reading skill books, you'll gain a multiplier for the skill gradually. So right now, if we find trapping, I haven't read enough to get a multiplier yet, but the more we read of that book, closer we'll get to multipliers. It will help us with learning. Now, I believe we've looted those buildings already. Now, this is a blue building, which means that it's a community building of some sort. That could be things like a school, things like community centers, could be some sort of police department maybe. And I believe we looted these. I am going to go straight past them. Now, what building are we looking at here? Let's have a look. I believe, if I didn't know any better, I believe that would probably be the fire department. Be very careful going through these trees. Trees heavily reduce your vision, so you want to keep your ears open. Now, can we see many zombies? I don't see many zombies, which is actually interesting. Let's see if that stays true as we get closer. Usually I wouldn't risk going into places like this early, but we can scope it out from a distance. We can take our time with it. It is looking very quiet. Now, this could be on account of the alarm that went off earlier, because we're really not far from where that alarm went off when you think it's just here, which could have drawn over most of the zombies that were hanging out at the fire station previously. This fire department in Rosewood is also a fantastic opportunity to get our hands on some tools if the loot has stayed the same in build 42. So let's have a look. Looks like the zombies broke this door. So there were zombies here at some point, which reinforces the idea about the alarm. Knee pads already. These are a fantastic item. You can see that they give us a bit of defense, and I am just going to pause it while I'm explaining this, but you can see how they provide bite defense and scratch defense. You will also notice that they provide a little bit of discomfort. Now, this is a new thing they've added in build 42. Let's say, for example, you were to wear too many items that provide discomfort. Your character would slowly build a discomfort moodle, and that would be something that ideally we want to avoid, and it will start making them unhappy. So while these are good items, we do want to keep our eyes on it and not get too many of them or wear them for too long. And a firefighter zombie here. Now, firefighters tend to wear some very good protective gear. The condition on these ones, though, is not great. As you can see, the condition bar is very low. I could take them if I wanted to. I'm going to choose to forego them right now and see if we can find any others. But firefighters tend to have very good clothing, protection-wise, some of the best in the game in vanilla. So to preserve that clothing, we can use blunt weapons. See, these pants are perfect. A little bit dirty, they could do with a cleanup, but that's fine. Perfect condition. They'll provide us more protection. Also pretty good in terms of insulation. Sometimes can make you a bit too hot, even in the summer months if you're not careful. So we'll see if that makes us hot. We've got a gardening trowel here. Could use that to plant some crops. We're not going to worry about that right now. Crops in build 42 have had their growing periods lengthened significantly on top of some other changes to the growing seasons as well. You actually need to keep an eye on what season you're growing your crops in, depending on the crop, for the best results. So we've got some perfect clothing here. This is really good in terms of protection values. We've got a firefighter axe here, not in great condition. This one too, you can see that this one is dull. However, they could still be handy for chopping down trees and getting us wood. Now, I'm not sure on the effect of different sort of durability on different parts of a weapon yet. That is something that I need to familiarize myself with on build 42, but I would imagine that a dull blade is not a good thing. We have found ourselves some alcohol. Best thing we can use that for is disinfecting rags. One of the many things that you should be on the lookout for. Might even go as far as to take this third one just to use most of the bottle. Not sure I really want to carry the rest around with me, so we'll leave that here. But what that's basically allowing me to do is it's disinfected these rags. We can actually disinfect the bandage too. Now I have a decent supply of disinfected bandages should I need them for a wound. This will keep infections away or help fight an existing infection. Combination padlock, we don't need to worry about that too much. First aid kit, and we don't need to worry about that. I'm going to cautiously explore the fire station. If I remember rightly, their quarters has a bookcase, so I'm interested in this. The other thing that we can consider at this point in time is we've actually been very lucky here looting this fire station. As we've identified already, it's perfectly clear. There's not too much going on here. And while I wouldn't usually advise moving safe house in the early game, it's perfectly possible for us to just stay at our current residence for a while. This would be an ideal opportunity to move to a safe house that has a lot more functionality to it. So I'm going to talk through a little bit of like what you need to identify a good safe house since we've got the opportunity. Usually I wouldn't worry about this on day 2, but it seems silly to pass this up. Things we're looking for in a safe house. Ideally, appliances that are already in place that we don't need to mess around with. So we've already got a TV in here, right? So we don't need to worry about moving one of those in. We've got a fridge freezer. We've got 2 ovens. So we only really need 1. We've got running water. That's already perfect. And they're already in close proximity to a lot of storage containers, right? We've got all these cabinets, these shelves, this bookcase. We've got lockers in here. We have plenty of storage in one location, right? So all these other rooms are optional. We have everything we need in these couple rooms. We have tons of storage downstairs in the garage space. And what's great about this is this garage space gives us the opportunity to park up cars indoors in a safe area. The only downside currently that stands out to me is that one of the garage doors is destroyed. Now that could be a very big problem because in order for me to build a wall, I either need to build a log wall or to build a regular wooden wall, we need carpentry level 2. But because we've actually dedicated some time to watching TV, we're already almost at carpentry level 2. So this base all of a sudden becomes viable again, when it otherwise might not be because we've got an open area here. If we really wanted to, we can maybe park a vehicle across it just to buy us some time and deter the undead. Yeah, I think this is a very viable safe house location for us. The fire department in Rosewood is a timeless classic in the PZ community. Lots of people like to make their homes here just because it has everything. It's surrounded by a lot of open space. It's got plenty of storage, lots of appliances that we need. It's got beds. It's got running water. It is a very, very good option. So this loot run has definitely paid off for us. We've got ourselves some new protective gear. It's not going to be wearing out on us anytime soon. You can see here we are unpleasantly hot though, and this is what I was worrying about because by default we start in the summery months. So we can just take off this jacket for now. Just something to keep an eye on. I'm gonna get too hot. Of course, sweating for our character, which will wet all their clothes. Obviously on top of the rain, which will make us drink water a lot quicker. Means we need to top up more often. It's just a bit of a pain. Now, thankfully, we're not too far from home base, so it wouldn't be too hard to move. I think it's a good safe house location location, and I do want to move us there, but I don't necessarily think we need to go right this second. It is a good option for us, but not a necessity right now. Now, we do have most of the tools we now need to do good carpentry work. In fact, we've got a duplicate here, but we've got a hammer, we've got an axe, and we've got a saw. Now, all we're missing really is nails, and then we'll be good to go on our carpentry, which would allow us to do some barricading and secure our safe house location. And that is really all we need. Now, it is getting around to 6 p.m., so since we're back at base, we might as well turn on Life and Living. Why not? Check if I have any other books that I can be reading in the meantime. Mechanics 1 probably would be a good one. I'm gonna read that. That's kind of the only one we've got right now that I think would be immediately useful. Let's take a seat here and do some more reading. Wait for Life and Living. Just got a nice cup of tea in real life as well. I'm wondering if this one is actually worth learning or not. What is this one going to be? Trapping, fishing, farming. Okay. This is actually, to be fair, this is actually one of the more useful ones. Now, the higher farming level we have, the more yield you'll get from crops. This is actually a half decent one to get. But farming is definitely, I would say, less useful in build 42 just because of how long crops take to grow now. That said, you can change their growing seasons if you like. And change it back to how it was in build 41. Okay, so it is 6:30. We don't have much daylight left, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself and go too far. However, it's looking like this area is a little bit clearer now. So as we were talking about, oh, that's huge, actually. As we were talking about before, we're looking out for a car. Now, it looks like this one is wrecked. Cars in wrecks like this will never really be usable, but we have just found ourselves a gas can, which is massive. And I'm right-clicking on these cars just to see if it comes up with the option to siphon gasoline. We won't have what we need to do so, because we now need a hose like this one. But this in itself indicates that the car has gas. So this car does have gas. Some nails here, we'll grab those. So we need a hose. I'm struggling to remember if it was this house that had the alarm or whether it was the one next door. I'm gonna risk it. I think it was the one next door that had the alarm. Oh, this is a survivor house. A nice recipe there that we can grab as well. So usually places like this are an indication that it's a survivor house. If they've stocked up on things like weapons, supplies. Yeah, see, they've got a gun here. We are gonna grab this. I don't think we're gonna get any use out of it. Guns are, in most situations, a death trap. Not always, not always. A lot of people think that like you should never use guns. That isn't true. You just need to have enough ammo. And enough ammo in Project Zomboid means a lot of ammo. Otherwise, it's not really worth it. Let's see here. Scalpel. And if you're ever wondering to yourself, like, do I have enough rounds for this? The answer is probably no, because by engaging in firearms combat, you are going to attract lots more zombies than you think. Now, this is great. A baseball bat with nails is a tried and true weapon for Project Zomboid survivors. We got an extra keyring here, which is massive. And because of our keyring sorting system, we will need extra keyrings. So it's great to get that, and I think it has a bottle opener on the keyring, which is also useful. Knee pads, we've already got a couple of those, but you can see why like the survivor houses in general are useful. Now, good opportunity to talk about something else to do with muscle strain. Let's assume that our one-handed weapon, which it's not going to be the case, but let's assume that this lead pipe was actually 2 weight, and the baseball bat is 2 weight, or encumbrance. The two-handed weapon would build less muscle strain than the lead pipe. So two-handed weapons of the same weight will always build less muscle strain. Ooh, a butterfly knife. I've not even seen these. Low weight option, maybe? Oh, wow. This is huge. Knives are not a great option for direct combat nowadays because of muscle strain. You spend a lot of swings with knives. They have a high crit chance, but they will do less damage in general, and then you will spend more attacks. However, they work great for being up behind zombies for an assassination kill that will kill them in one hit and therefore use less muscle strain. Now, this is big. We have a bigger backpack here. We have nails and planks already pre-cut. So we could, at this point, we could very quickly barricade our house. We have everything we need here. I'm gonna double check, but I don't believe the key ring we picked up, I don't believe it has the keys to this. No, it doesn't. It'd be a vehicle key if there were, which is a shame because it'd be really cool cool to be able to get into this thing, but that's all right. Now we're going to transfer all into the duffel bag, and we're going to switch bags. Duffel bags are larger. You can see here, this one reduces 70% encumbrance and has 15 capacity. A duffel bag, I believe off the top of my head, has 18 capacity. Yeah, 18 capacity. Slight reduction to the amount of encumbrance that it affects though, but I think overall it's still a worthwhile trade. And we'll grab this. We are 100% grabbing this box of nails, and we're going to grab, I think, some planks. Be careful of encumbrance. We might build muscle strain here. If you get to the third level of encumbrance, you will build muscle strain. Hold on now. Hold on now. Ah, okay. So this is a vehicle key, but it's for one of the wrecked cars here. You can find vehicle keys on the ground near cars like that, but it's for the wrecked one, which is a real shame. We now have the capability to barricade our safe house. Yes, this is temporary. We understand that now, but I think rather than moving everything we have here in storage by backpack and doing multiple runs to do so, we temporarily barricade this building instead. It is a decision that I'm making purely because I don't want to waste time running several runs of loot over to the fire station. We are going to grab our hammer from storage. Now, if you're wondering why I picked up the pack of beer, basically it's something that I can use to reduce boredom and unhappiness in a pinch, and beer is relatively low alcohol, so I won't get my characters too drunk. We're going to apply 2 barricades to each window, and we're going to apply them on the outside. Now, by applying them on the outside, what this does is it means that zombies will break the barricades first before they break the window, keeping the window intact. Doesn't really matter which way you want to do it, but I like to do this because keeping the window intact, I think it looks nicer, right? It's just a little aesthetic thing. And also, by keeping it to 2 barricades, we can see through the barricades. As soon as we add a third one, we will no longer be able to see through this window. The only additional option you have, if you would like to, is you can barricade this side of the window too. Doing that will apply 4 barricades and still allow us to look out of the window because we've got 2 on each side, and it will effectively double the protection that the window has. It is entirely optional. I mean, at this point, we don't really have to worry about that too much, and we can just apply like 2 barricades, okay? I'm gonna go back for some more planks, and our focus right now is going to be this broken window. We're getting around to the end of the day here. We're getting tired, so I'm not going to waste time cutting down trees right now. But on day 3, I think we spend a little bit of time putting up some barricades and leveling a little bit of carpentry. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we don't have the skill multiplier from a book. If we had the skill multiplier, I would go wild on carpentry right now and just barricade the whole building, but that isn't the case. Now I'm going to eat all of this ham. 1, because it's going to go off soon, and 2, because having this full to bursting will increase our carry weight, which is going to be helpful here. I'm going to ignore this zombie just for a minute, because it's more important to me to get some barricades up right now. Again, I would put them on the outside usually, but this window's already broken, so I'm not too worried about seeing out of this window too, so we're going to apply the extra barricades here. It's taking a very weird path to get to us, but that's okay. Just going to bang on that barricade that we've just put up. That's fine. We've got a minute. I am going to do this for demonstration purposes. It is not something that I would necessarily recommend. I think it would be better to just spend a little bit of extra time maybe looking for the keys. But just to demonstrate, what we can do if we really wanted to get in this vehicle, because I think there's a key in here, I can come up alongside the passenger window. It's important that it's the passenger, and I can smash the window. This will give me entrance to the vehicle. I can then slide over to the driver's seat. I can unlock all the doors, and I can check to see if there's a key. So no key, again, just for demonstration purposes, but there is always a chance. And by breaking the passenger side window, what that's done is that's preserved the safety of the driving position. If there were a key, I would still be safe in the driver's seat. Now I'm gonna pull down some extra sheets here from this survivor house, since they've covered the windows for us so kindly. We're going to take these extra sheets and we're going to go and apply them to our safe house instead, because waste not, want not. And all this is going to do is this is going to cut off the zombies' vision of our movement inside our safe house. I would argue that doing this is actually more important than barricading, because if they can't see you, they've got no reason to come banging on your window. They might still do it. They do get drawn over to random things like this sometimes, and that's fine. But this is just heavily reducing the chance that's going to happen. We're going to focus on the downstairs windows. All of those closed. We're coming around to midnight, and just like that, all of our downstairs windows are covered, and we've still got one left. Here we go. There is an extra window downstairs. Let's cover this one. 2 options for adding sheets there. That's probably a bug. And we've got the front door window as well, but I think we're out of, yeah, we're out now. So we managed to cover most of them. That's great. Now, I'm not too worried about catching the cooking show, because to be honest, like, cooking XP is a nice to have, not a necessity. I would rather get more sleep and give us more looting time right now. I'm gonna pick this bed because the windows are covered. I'm gonna put down our pillow for an extra sleeping bonus. It's coming around to midnight. Sleep with pillow. And just like that, we're going into day 3. We should wake up very soon. 9:20. Not a bad sleep. He's got a nice lay-in for day 3. So to recap, we got ourselves some tools for building, the necessities for barricading our windows, covering our windows to cut off vision of the zombies. We had a look for a car. That is currently our like biggest goal right now, is we want to keep our eyes open for a vehicle so that we can progress as we like. But we haven't had any luck there yet. We do, however, have a gas can. We need a hose to allow us to siphon from a vehicle in the future if we need some gas for our cars. And we know that the vehicle across the street has some gas in it. We've got a little bit more food going for us. We got a bottle opener, and we found the place that we would potentially like to make a more permanent safe house when we get round to moving. And we have made the decision right now, we are going to move there when we get a vehicle, okay? Because it would be easier to move our stuff over and we wouldn't spend so much time doing so. We could do it all in like maybe one trip. And I think that about sums up our day. Oh, and some more protective clothing too, which is great. So that sums up day 2. Day 3, perhaps, we'll go a little bit further afield and try to find ourselves a vehicle and get a little bit more brave with it. All right, so we are jumping back into day 3. Also have had a whole bunch of comments from you guys, and one of the biggest ones was to mention to new players something about the aim outline, which I think is a really good thing to mention for new players. I personally have turned this off, but the aim outline is a really, really helpful tool for new players especially, that can help you in combat. So if you go to your options, I believe it's in the display settings. So melee target outline, that's in the UI options under cursor. Now, what this will do is, if we can find a zombie real quick, it's pretty quiet out here now. We've really done some clearance work. How are we doing on our skills? Carpentry level 2. Okay, so we still need to catch life and living at 12 p.m. I have also been informed that in build 42, watching life and living will only take you to maximum of level 3 by default. You can turn this off in the sandbox options, but by default, level 3 is the maximum that you can learn through watching TV now. The rest has to be learned through like crafting and stuff. Just a heads up on that. Now, we've identified the fire station as our future base. We do need a car, really, to make that work. Hopefully we get the chance to show you this aim outline. I'm also going to try and show you how to lose zombies today, if we can. We've talked a lot about how to fight zombies, how to take them on, but I would really like to show you guys how to deal with things when you've bitten off a little bit more than you can chew. You know, what happens if I've accidentally aggroed too many zombies? So we'll see if we can do that as well. Breaking into the garages here because there's always a chance that we'll find something useful. A small file set is kind of handy and will allow us to do some like weapon repairs and stuff like that. I think we already have a gas can back at base, so we're not going to worry about that too much. Extra one is always good, but right now, again, we're just trying to prioritize a little bit of space. I don't want to grab a whole bunch of stuff. A couple of the big goals that I'm now thinking about. We are at the point now where very soon I'm going to want to be moving base. Once we've moved base, two of the big issues become water and electricity, which will both shut off soon. It can be any point, like could be any day now, could be any time within the next couple of weeks. When that happens, I need to be prepared. But put a pin in that. I'll just show you how the zombie targeting works. So you can see how when the zombie gets close enough for me to hit them, there's an aim outline and it shows me that I could hit that zombie. Now, that's really helpful for new players. It can help you determine the range of weapons. So if you do want to have that enabled, you can do so. Me personally, I don't need it anymore, so I don't tend to have it on, but it is very helpful for new players, and it probably is something that I should have mentioned in one of the earlier videos. We have a trailer here, which is nice to know. Trailers are always useful, but yes, we're looking for stuff that's going to help us prepare for water and the electricity both shutting off. Electricity is a much bigger thing to solve because we will need a generator, we will need gas, or fuel, and we will need a generator operating manual. Water, however, is a bit simpler to resolve. We can either build a rain collector, which off the top of my head used to be level 3 carpentry. Yes, it still is. We can either learn level 3 carpentry and build us a rain collector, which isn't too difficult, but the water will be dirty, of course, and we will need to purify it. Or we can search anywhere with an office to try and find a water dispenser, which is usually what I like to try and do, because that water is always going to be clean. I'm hoping to get over towards the police station today, and the reason I'd like to try and do that is because I'm thinking there will probably be a good chance of a water dispenser, and there will also probably be a good chance of a vehicle. Okay, gloves, hugely useful item. Gives you extra scratch and bite protection for your hands. Very useful. No reason not to have them if you find them. I'm gonna go back into the fire station because we're coming around to 12 p.m. I just want to make sure that we watch the TV at 12 because we're still trying to get to level 3 in carpentry. Once we get there, the crafting opens up a whole bunch. So as long as we can get to level 3, we should be fine. Okay, we have a tailoring book that we could just be reading in the meantime, so why not, I suppose. No reason we shouldn't do that. While we're talking about like the water problem and the power problem as well, the only other sort of like option, if you don't have a water dispenser and you can't build a rain collector yet, really your only other option is to fill containers with water before the water shuts off. You could use cooking pots for that, roasting pans, bowls, whatever you want to use, or you could put them out in the rain for it to rain and fill the containers. But those are second best to the ones we've discussed already. All right, so we're gaining some carpentry now. I'm hoping we can get to level 3. There we go. Okay, so we're on level 2. That gives us the ability, I believe, to make fences and floors. Might just be floors, but that will be helpful if we need it. But level 3 is where it really opens up for us. That's when we can build like rain collectors and composters, which will allow us to do some farming and things like that. Prepare for the long term a little bit. That's the end of this one. We can turn this off for now. Alrighty, I think I'm going to start placing some items in here. Instead, we can kind of use this as a little springboard over to the fire station. We're going to go, oh, there's a foraging book here too. I'm going to go ahead and just put some, my gun and my ammo in here, and probably my spare weapon as well. We'll make this just like a gun cabinet for us for the time being. That alone will free us up a lot of space. I'm going to drop our couple of books off. Now, I'm not going to worry about moving our whole storage over here because of the bit of a limit that we have on time to make these videos. It's much easier for me to move everything over once we've got a vehicle, as we discussed in the last video. So we're not going to worry too much about everything right now. But with the rest of this day, I would like to start looking for a vehicle seriously. And to do that, our best bet will be anywhere that has parking. So generally speaking, anywhere with a parking area like this, you're more likely to find vehicles because quite simply, there's just going to be more spawns. So the police department is the next one over. I am, however, under no illusion that it might be a little bit busy. So we do need to just be careful and scout it out. But there will be a big parking area around the back. And in my experience, there's often some vehicles that like have police liveries to them that are quite good looking. So it would be nice if we could find one of those. This is one of the many locations that have been overhauled in Build 42 as well. It does have a different look to it now. If you've seen this building in Build 41, when you come here, no doubt it'll look a little bit different. And one thing I really like about Build 42 is that, you know, if I didn't want to fight these two zombies, I don't have to anymore. I'll probably have to at some point anyway, so there's no real downside to me just pulling them now and fighting them. But I could just jump over this fence and go around the back if I wanted to. And here at some point, we will, just for demonstration purposes, pull a larger group to show you how we would deal with losing those zombies. Might happen naturally in the meantime, so we'll see. Ah, there's a jackpot item right there. That is a water dispenser. That is exactly what we're looking for. Part of what we're looking for. No alarm on this building, so that's good. Some broken windows, though. Again, we're just using the environment to our advantage as we've done so far. The shotgun here and a holster. We'll definitely take that holster. The shotgun, sure, I think we have enough rounds for that right now, so we'll go ahead and grab that. I don't think we have a shotgun back at base. I could be wrong. We might have already grabbed one. Couple of zombies just chilling out right now. One by the red exit sign. I love how the lighting just seeps in now. This person's got one of the double holsters, shoulder ones. Now, sodas at the moment are bugged, and I do just want to mention that these can near enough be used to completely negate the need for sleep right now. You will not need sleep if you use soda. However, I know for a fact that won't be forever. That is a bug. They will be fixing it. And we do have a vehicle over here. And there is always a chance that one, it will be unlocked, or two, there is a key in the police department. Oh, there's a bigger group over there too. You know what? We're going to start by looting the police department just to make sure that there's no keys in this building. I would usually do it the other way around and check the vehicle first, but looking at how busy it is out there, we're going to check all the containers in this building first. Oh, aviator glasses. We've got to take those. Style points. No other reason than they look cool. We've got cigarettes in here. Police stations are one of the best places to find cigarettes. Turns out a lot of cops smoke. Now will be extra rooms. Let's see if this one's open. Nope. So this is the gun lockup in here, the little armory. Okay, we have a key to the police station here. Now, this is already huge. The reason that's so big is because now we can actually access the armory room. We do also have a police vest here, which is a tried and true classic. It does, however, add discomfort. So we'll see whether or not this makes us uncomfortable. If it does, we might have to drop it. Talked about discomfort in the last episode. It's also added a little bit of weight to my character here. We've also found a flashlight. Doesn't seem like I'm carrying one on me. As much as I like the holster, that doesn't work with the shoulder holster. It doesn't work with the vest. Instead, we're going to grab this one. And then we're going to take the flashlight. Now, there is another bug at the moment where batteries are being drained without being used. Again, hopefully that'll be fixed soon. Looks like we can wear this vest relatively comfortably. This will give us a good amount of like bite and scratch protection. Again, I'm just making sure to check everything. There is a stench over here. Is that the zombies I've already killed, or is somebody taking a number 2 in the toilet? We're just eating all the fresh food we find. Kind of important, just to reduce the amount of food we're using at home. Rubber, gloves, box of garbage bags. Okay, so garbage bags are actually a lot more useful than you might think because we can use them to build rain collectors. Box of nails, also huge. We want to grab those wherever we find them because you will never have enough nails once you start building at your base. However, we are, I would say, using up a lot of our inventory space here of different things. It might come to dropping the shotgun. If there's anything I'm going to drop, it's probably going to be the firearms because I can always come back for those later. And right now, I don't even have shotgun shells, so I can't really make the most of them anyway. I'm sure that will trigger a whole bunch of people if I leave a shotgun behind, but the truth of the matter is that is not my primary concern right now. And especially for a new player, if you've never used guns before, you're likely to use them in the wrong way and get yourself killed. Okay, the vest is now making us uncomfortable, so that is going to come off. I'm going to opt to leave that behind. Let's get into this locked armory here. 308 rounds, shotgun shells. This actually might give us a perfect opportunity to show what happens if we attract too many zombies and we want to get away. We're going to demonstrate two things at once here. The first one is going to be how you will never have enough ammo. And the second one will be how to lose zombies. We're going to do a little bit of both. Now, I am probably going to need to head back to base and do a quick drop off at the police, like maybe at the fire station. There is extra areas that key could be in the lockup section, but I want to guess at this point that we're probably not going to find anything. Let's quickly run back to base, and then we're going to do a little bit of demonstration with the zombie pulling. Real quick, let's just drop this off, and we'll get rid of these zombies. Hatchet would be a really good one to keep on me for chopping trees, but I don't think we're really going to need to worry about that because we've learned most of the carpentry that we're going to need for now. Okay, shotgun shells. So this will be an interesting bit of discovery for me. This will actually be my first time using firearms in build 42. However, I know that the system has changed so that you do actually need to aim at your target now. It is no longer a case of just randomly acquiring targets. We are also going to go check that vehicle if we can without drawing that horde, and then we will start getting into doing the shoosty, and we will try and orchestrate a successful escape for you guys. One of the biggest things that new players do is draw too many zombies and then not know how to deal with it. And if any of you are new players, I'm sure you've drawn more zombies than you intended to before, and probably just ended up dying due to fatigue. It does happen. You fatigue yourself running away and draw more zombies in the process, and then you're not sure what to do with it. And you know, that happens. But again, we knew that there was a large group over there, so I'm taking an alternate route. We might draw, if there's any zombies on the other side of the fence here, we might draw them, but I would like to try and get to that car without drawing too much attention, and then we'll draw that group anyway and try to sort of get away. So this zombie here, I'm going to draw away. One thing to note, if you're finding that zombies are making their way to you in a steady stream when you're fighting other zombies like this, saying bashing this zombie's skull in, and you find that, you know, another zombie comes walking in from somewhere, and then another one, and they just kind of start trickling in. That's because in default apocalypse settings, you will now find that some of them have pinpoint hearing, and they will be able to locate you based on the sounds of combat. It wasn't previously a thing, now it is. The lock was broken. We have an M14 mag. That's such a shame. So we can check the condition of the vehicle here. We have 5 out of 31 gas. So we know that there is actually gas in this vehicle. The battery is good. And the most important thing about vehicles is the engine quality. When you're inspecting them, look at the engine quality and the battery. If these two things are in good working order, batteries can even be replaced, but, you know, we don't have one right now. If these two things are in good working order, the vehicle itself will run. And that is the most important part. The gas tank has gas. I have to make the very difficult decision of, do I want to loot the rest of this building, or do I want to break the window? I'm going to opt to loot the rest of this building first before we break the window on that thing. We have spent most of the day looking for a car at this point, but it is a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. So we're going to go right into the back, the last area we haven't searched, look for this key, and who knows, we might get lucky. One in the holding cell there. Doubt we're going to find it in the holding cells. It's probably going to be in like one of the offices if it's going to be anywhere. But it doesn't look like it. No luck this time. Nope. Okay. No key, which means we're going to break the window. Oh! Ooh! I'm glad I reacted quick enough on that door. Very, very close encounter there. Stood right beside the door. Now let's smash this window. Sadly, still no key. I would actually have to break into the back of the vehicle as well to check the back. Now, we've gathered a bit of attention here. Let's show off a little bit of the shooting, and then we're going to try and escape. So now, you can see the aiming is entirely different, and I actually need to aim. It's also not as easy to kill multiple zombies at once with a shotgun anymore. Ooh, tiredness. That makes this escape a little bit more drastic. Okay, so we've attracted more zombies than we want to, so what do? Now, I can outpace these guys at a walking speed. That's the very first thing. We want to use running in short bursts. There is no reason for us to sprint either. We can jog when we want to outrun them. There is zero reason for me to use sprint. Sprint uses way too much of our endurance. We don't need to use it. The next thing is put hard objects between you and them. Break their line of sight, and then once you've done so, that's when you run. So we've broken their line of sight. I'm taking an alternate route. That's when we then use jog to increase that distance between us. So we're increasing the distance. I'm not just running away in a straight line. I've drawn those zombies. I've taken a windy path, which is going to interrupt their line of sight and make them forget where I was. See, they're still headed to where I last was, my last known location, and they're not going to know what's happening. And just like that, I've lost them. Now, you'll also notice that I'm heading back towards an area where I've already cleared. That's also part of that maneuver. Ideally, as you're running away from zombies, we want to go back to areas that we've already checked out. There's no reason for us to run into a new area while trying to lose zombies, because the chances are there's going to be more zombies in those areas, right? We don't know what's around the corner. We haven't cleared them yet, but this is relatively safe and we know that. So there's no reason to go to a new area when we can just go through this area we've already cleared. We had no luck, sadly, with the vehicle at the police station, and we're coming to the end of day 3 already, which leaves me in a little bit of a predicament as to what I want to do next. I think we're going to need pretty much like one more day just to try and go and find a vehicle. Otherwise, we'll just move stuff over by hand to our ideal base location. We'll bite that bullet, as it were, and we'll just go live there instead. But you can see, even though I used a gun there, you know, I'm not locked into death. You'll hear some people saying that, like, oh yeah, if you use a gun, you're gonna get yourself killed. Not necessarily the case. You can make it out alive in those kinds of situations. So we're back at base. I would say a pretty good way for us to go about this next would be to barricade the rest of these windows. Well, we've still got some life in us. We do have to do a little bit of building, or a little bit of barricading still. And it does serve a purpose. It is gonna allow us to learn a little bit of carpentry, which is important. We got these garbage bags, which we can use through a rain collector later. Now, I could just drink this soda, and obviously, like, we wouldn't need to sleep the night. That is a thing we can now do. But to be honest, I don't really want to get used to that because we know it's not intended. It is a bug right now, so we're not going to get used to that. One thing I have noticed as well with build 42, after some playing today, some axes seem to be bugged when it comes to their durability. So they don't have durability like they used to. It's not just a flat durability modifier. They have head condition, handle condition, and sharpness. My assumption is that sharpness should be reduced when cutting down trees, but it doesn't seem to right now, at least with some of the axes we tried earlier. I don't know if anybody else has noticed whether this is working as intended or whether we think that's bugged right now. But yeah, cutting down trees doesn't seem to affect that whole process currently. We can hear... Is that me panting? I think it's me panting. I thought I heard a zombie, but I think it's us. So sawing logs does currently build carpentry XP. That is also another thing to keep in mind. And we can actually give you the exact number here because we don't have any XP boosts on carpentry right now. Technically, I think the best way to do this would just be to watch the Life and Living show, but in the interest of getting the buildings barricaded with the end of our day. So 0.25 for sawing that log. Not a lot. Not a lot at all. So again, we're doing 2 planks when we barricade so that we can still see through the window, and we've still got some more wood out there so we can do the same with that. This should give us plenty. And then I think it will be time for bed, the end of day 3. Not as much as I would have liked to have gotten done today. I think we've essentially managed to identify the location of a water dispenser, which is a big goal for us. So we do now have a water dispenser that we can go and loot. We've finished off our barricading, looted the police station, I guess, but that wasn't exactly on my list of things that we wanted to do. Just happened by proxy while we were looking for a car. Okay, so we're gonna have to just make do with 1 on here if we want to keep that good sleep schedule, but that's okay. Now, in the interest of me getting the most out of my day tomorrow, we're just gonna let our characters sleep as long as they want. So we have maximum awake time. We're only just starting our 4th day. We are now losing weight, which means that I need to start putting some more calories in. If we get down to below 75, we become underweight, and that affects our stats negatively. So we do want to try and keep that weight on. All right, so we are jumping into day 4 of our 1-week playthrough. The biggest thing that I really want to try and focus on is I would like to try and find us a vehicle. Vehicle is, in my opinion now, our biggest concern. The reason why I say that is because obviously we want to be able to move a lot of our loot over to a new location, which is a pretty big deal. It's going to require a good amount of storage space to do that. Also, there's a lot of places that we're going to want a vehicle to get to, such as places like the gas station. I would really like to have that secured. There are a couple of other priorities I've got in my mind, like stocking up on food at this point. We also need to get ourselves a generator operating manual. I've also been informed that you can now gain the ability to operate generators just by being electricity level 3. So while we're looking for a new vehicle today, what we're going to do is I've taken the time to use the Build 42 online map, which I will leave linked in the description of this video. Online maps are a very commonly used tool in the Project Zomboid player base, and we now have new ones for Build 42. Wow, it is foggy. That is actually going to affect their vision, so that's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing, so we're gonna have to be careful. I will bring this map up on screen for the benefit of you guys at home, but I've already identified 2 locations that we can go to. One is the school, which would be a good location because it would allow us to check for books while we're there, and the other one is a church. Now the church is closer, so we're gonna start there. Both of these locations have parking areas outside, and because we're looking for a car, that's gonna be our priority. But I've used the online map to identify them because because, you know, once you've got a little bit of time in the game, you might be able to get there yourself. But early on, it can be very, very difficult to know where you've got to go and what you want to do without the use of a map, and there's nothing wrong with doing so. You don't have to use it. It is optional, but don't let anybody tell you how to play the game. Half the fun of Project Zomboid is being able to play the game how you want to. There is no wrong way to play. Might take this hammer. How is our hammer doing? I just wanted to keep an eye on the condition of our weapon. Really good. No problems. I think we've also got a welding torch. Alrighty, so I am just taking it slow. Fog does affect the zombies' vision, which might be useful to us, actually. Up this road, we should find the church. And this is my concern. Ooh, yeah, lots of zombies. That's the church there. I can just see the sign at the peripheral vision on my screen. But even getting over there, I think, is going to be a bit of a difficulty. How many zombies are across the street from us? 4. I think we can deal with 4. I'm a little bit worried about drawing those other zombies with the sounds of combat, but that's okay. We can deal with that as it comes up. And if we do draw more than we think, always gives me another chance to show off a little bit of like escape tactics for you guys. Some zombies do now have pinpoint hearing because of the randomized apocalypse settings. But with this group, I'm just trying to get like a couple of them to come and follow me. Oh, we've got more in the fog over there. That's going to cause issues. So you can see as I'm fighting these guys, a few of them are kind of like just kind of generally pushing towards my location, and you will find this in the apocalypse difficulty now. They do kind of just make their way over to you because they can hear you. I've already drawn more than I wanted here. I'm going to make the decision quickly to back out. There's nothing wrong with me doing this. The biggest thing is that I make this decision fast. Quickly just check this bookcase. Fruit jam and peanut butter are great for calories, so we're going to pick those up. Biggest thing is that I make that decision quickly. I don't stick around. I'm not going to like try fighting them and trying to salvage the situation. Just not going to bother. It would be a waste of time. We'll get fatigued. We'll get muscle strain. There's too many there for me to fight, and I know that. Now, I could take an alternate route and try to maybe climb over a fence or something like that. That is totally a viable option, but in the interest of moving along swiftly, I'm gonna just opt to head towards the school instead, which is our second option for finding a vehicle that I've highlighted for myself. There is a third. That would be the car park on the high street behind the main storefronts, but I have a feeling that that would be even busier. So where we are now, straight across from here, there will be a fence, and then behind that will be the parking area for the school. Door's locked anyway. I was going to deal with that zombie, but some smashed windows around here showing me signs that there's been zombies in the area. And I think I just caught one there. Yep, that's okay. Just use the fence to our advantage again. The school is just over here, but this area out the back here should be a parking area. So I'm hoping that maybe we come across a car or two. There's one. The fog is sort of lending us a little bit of a hand here, actually. And if we can get close enough, I know there's a library just there. And books are a huge part of progression in Project Zomboid. They give me a multiplier will allow me to gain XP faster in certain skills, and they are, like, before we take on any big projects in any skill, really, they are an absolute, we shouldn't say must have, but are very, very useful. We got no key in that one. Let's check the back. Nothing in there, unfortunately. If we loot the school, there would be a chance that there will be keys in there. There's also the ground nearby. I've just got to keep an eye open for that. These zombies are going to aggro and probably come over the fence nearby. That's all right. Change seats. No, nothing. No key. Oof. There's a big group of zombies right there that I don't want to attract. So rather than fight these zombies here, I'm just going to drag them a little bit further up this way. And I'm going to hope to avoid pulling either of these big groups by fighting as far away from them as I possibly can. And then we're going to check the school. Might even be worth checking that garbage can. So if you guys didn't know already, in build 42, there can actually be some kind of useful items in the garbage now. Bottle of maple syrup there, tons of calories, and we do have to worry about that because we are losing calories. So it is in my best interest to get some food in me. There's actually not a lot of zombies out here. Kind of expected there to be a little bit more, but that's, hey, I'm definitely not complaining. Now we're gonna smash this window. When I do so, I'm gonna check that this group hasn't been aggroed. If they are, we'll just have to be quick. I think we could still get away with it. Okay, no, I think mostly we're okay. So what I'm looking for here, really, is any book that's level 1. For now, that's going to be 1 and 2 will be my priorities. Anything above that, realistically, I don't have to worry about right this moment. So we're taking any skill book that's going to be level 1 and 2. Maybe a couple of exceptions, like, I mean, carpentry is a big one. I'm going to take any magazines because they're relatively low weight and will teach us new recipes. There'll be a couple of exceptions if we come across, like, some good carpentry books for the later stages. But right now, we're just taking 1s and 2s, and that's it. First aid. I mean, first aid's pretty useless, but first aid doesn't have many useful points to it because in games like Project Zomboid, realistically, if you've injured yourself, you're probably dead. It's a good chance it's a bite or a scratch, and scratches and lacerations heal really quickly anyway, and a bite, obviously, you're not coming back. So very rare situations that you're actually going to need the first aid skill. Now, if you're wondering why I'm bothering checking all of these desks, is mostly just on the off chance that somewhere there's a key. You never know. We have a flashlight on us, we do, which is good because we're gonna need it through here, I think. Just check each of these, make sure there's nothing useful to us. Small backpack, not that useful, unfortunately. And this might seem like a little bit tedious, but right now, cars are a huge deal to us. Ah, electrical 1, that's a huge find. That will allow us to start working towards getting generators operational ourselves. And because we have the second book as well, that will actually allow us to get there without the operating manual for generators, which seem to be very rare in build 42. But those whistles are big items. They will actually allow us to make quite a loud noise, sort of similar to yelling, but I believe they're louder than yelling in build 42, and we can use them to attract zombies that way if that was something we were interested in doing, but at this point in time, it is not something we're interested in doing. It's not looking likely that we're going to find a key. I am going to check this little shack just outside here if it's unlocked. They can often be quite a good place for us to get generator stuff, off chance that we might find a generator operating manual, but it is locked anyway at this time. Okay, I see a truck over there. Could be worth checking out. My hopes aren't high, but we've seen a vehicle. We should probably check it. Now, be aware when jumping fences like this, you always have a chance of failure, and it is gonna like fatigue your character. If you do this like more than like once or twice, your character is gonna be very worn out very quickly. So just keep that in mind when trying to jump fences like that. Okay, locked. I don't know. It might be in the house. He might be in luck here. Honestly, I tend to find that often that vehicles that are locked are the ones that have got the best chances of finding the key somewhere. Okay, these zombies are coming over, I think, maybe because of the noise. See if we can work our way around the back, and we've got one coming in here as well. Ooh, nice hit. Clean. Okay. That window won't open. There we go, we're in. It's important for me to note at this time, I have missed the carpentry show. Now, that's okay in this particular instance because I've still got some days of TV left and I won't need to watch them all to get to level 3. So in this instance, I'm making that decision that, you know, it's not the most important thing in the world. I am out looting right now, and I'm gonna instead try to get the keys to this vehicle. Love these new dice items as well. They're so cool. Are they something we need to pick up? No, but they are very cool. Fun fact, there's actually a shop in one of the new towns that were added in build 42 called the Wizard's Keep, and you can actually find a wizard hat. And there's a bunch of like board games and comics and dice and stuff. This place does have a basement. Man, that's really unfortunate. Okay, we have the tools necessary to disassemble this door using carpentry. I feel like I hear something. Oh, that's an alarm. Okay. That is an alarm. It's a timer. I don't know where it is. I think it's the wall clock. Okay, well, nothing of use for us in here. Cool little basement. Not useful to us. I could have just used the residence key to get in there. That's okay, though. Do we break into the truck? There's another car over there that we could check out afterwards. I am going to make the decision. I'm going to break into the truck. Should I be allowed to? Actually, I might not be able to in these. Front left seems to allow me to break it. Not sure, not the ideal, but really what I wanted to do. Alcohol wipes. Nope. Okay, well, off to the next one. Got a car up here that we can check out. There's a dead body in there as well. Never know. Let's give it a look. Really, all we're doing at this point in time is we are trying our best to find ourselves a vehicle. Zombie got a weapon on him? Looks like a police zombie, maybe. I'm gonna need to deal with these guys because they're just gonna follow me otherwise. Now, one very small thing that I should mention is if you stand on a zombie during combat as well, you can actually just keep them on the floor. Very, very handy for situations like that where I'm fighting more than one, and I can just sort of take one, knock them over, stand on top of them while fighting the other one. It just keeps them there for longer. Okay, we got another body in there as well. The only reason I'm noting those bodies is that they might have keys on them. Empty gas can, bad, but we already have one. No need to worry about that right now. No sign of a key in the vehicle. No way of us getting in there without disassembling. We might disassemble that if we can't find the key inside. I can hear zombies. Oh, there they are. Alright, let's see what we can find. An M9 pistol. Not something I'm really interested in right now. Coming around to 6 p.m. We might watch the TV. Nothing amazing currently. Really not getting the best of luck with keys right now. Oh! He says, and then immediately finds a key in the next container. Okay, things are looking up. Now let's see if it's got gas. That is one of the big things. Now that we have a key, is it gonna run? How are we looking? Okay, so we're out of gas, but that is not the end of the world. Let's check the condition of the vehicle. Oof, okay. It's not amazing, I'm not gonna lie. The condition of the battery, not terrible, 72%. The engine is not great, and the gas tank is out of gas, but it's not, like, it will work. It will serve its purpose for us, at least for a little while. Now, we need to find some fuel. We have a gas can back at base. I am gonna grab this one as well. And I also, this is the bonus of doing these runs and uploading them to YouTube as we go. Somebody pointed out in one of our previous videos that when we went through I believe it was the police station that we went through, apparently there was a siphon in one of those containers that I missed. Like a hose, a rubber hose. And in order to siphon gas from vehicles now, you need one of those rubber hoses. I had that comment multiple times, so assuming that that's correct, we could go back over there and find some gas. So I think that will be our next port of call. I'm not going to worry too much about attracting these zombies, as we can lose them. We just need to keep an eye out that we don't draw too many from other areas on the way home. But this is huge. Now that we know there is a working vehicle, there's a taxi, so we'll put that there. We'll head back to base. We're going to try and get ourselves a siphon, and we'll try and get some gas for that vehicle so that we can get things up and running. I'm just going to check this one real quick while we're here. Nope. No key on this one. I'm not going to spend too much time. There are zombies behind me. So we're going to head back to base. There is a larger group of zombies over there that I'm going to avoid. If you're wondering why I'm right-clicking on all of these vehicles as well, it's because there's a decent chance that when you do so, if it comes up, you can always check the vehicle mechanics to see if they've got gas. If you right-click on a vehicle and it comes up with siphon gasoline on the right-click menu, that immediately tells you that it does have gas. Even if I'm not carrying the rubber hose that we need, it immediately indicates to me that that vehicle has gas. Now, I don't know if we've actually seen any vehicles that do yet. So I guess our next port of call would potentially be to try and get some. We've got like 3 vehicles outside our base, so we gotta check those out. But otherwise, we'd have to trek all the way up to the gas station, which is a bit of a daunting task. So we'll check these ones out. The off chance that one of them does have some, and then we just need the rubber hose. Nope. No. Okay, so here we go. This one here has gas. So all we need to do now is get ourselves that rubber hose, which apparently was in the police station. Once we have that, we'll be good to go. Okay, so let's dump all of these. I'm noticing that my character is getting a little sleepy. Today, we're gonna push that. I am conscious that we are running fairly low on time before the helicopter comes along on day 7, and I would really like to get us moved over to the fire station before that happens, happens and get all of our food transferred and all of that sort of thing. So right now, I am prepared to push that a little bit. This could be a decision that comes back to bite me, quite literally, but we'll see. I'm not going to worry too much about where everything is going because the longer I leave this, the more it's going to tick down. I could also drink a soda if I wanted to, because those are bugged right now. But again, in the interest of me showing the game as it's intended, I'm not going to do that because that is a bug and they will be fixing that. So we're going to head back towards the police department, try and find that hose that I missed. Firefighter zombie out the back here. I think I'm going to go around the front. I am trying to move fairly quickly because fighting... Oh, man. Okay. Oh, wow. There's been some zombies moved in since we were last here, huh? Wow. This might prove a bit of a problem. And there's a couple here, too. Actually be better off going this way. Let's go ahead and move towards the police department on an alternate route. Now you'll see every time I hit this zombie now, my tiredness moodle is shaking. Because doing stuff like this is only making it worse. But I'm thinking, potentially, might be able to draw these couple zombies' attention, and as they go round, I can hop the fence. Some more zombies over there too. This is going to be a little risky, but we're gonna give it a try. Okay, that's a good start. Now, thanks to my very helpful YouTube commenters in the first couple episodes, I know exactly where that rubber hose is. I'm hoping we can get in and get out before I really have to fight too many zombies. This is going to be risky. So this surviving your first week challenge could end early. You're getting fatigued. As long as I can make it back out this door, we'll be all right. There's the rubber hose. Back out here before the zombies follow me far enough. We're going to skirt round these ones. We got a lot of them building up, but the doors are clear. Shut the door behind me to block their path, and we're out of there. A few chasing, but that's all right. I'm just gonna stay calm. We're gonna get full on food, which gives me a little bit of a strength buff for a very short time. A little bit risky jumping a fence that I can't see the other side of, but we may have to make an exception in this case. Now I'm taking a seat on the ground because that will help get rid of my out of breath, which should make it easier to jump this fence. As you can see, I've pretty much already lost most of these zombies. They've all mostly stopped following. And we jumped the fence first time because I took a minute there just to relax. I can hear a couple zombies. Let's try not to attract them. And just like that, we have what we need to siphon some gas. We're going to try and do that before we go to sleep. Yeah, I'm just going to take those zombies around the building, put some hard objects between us, try and break their line of sight. Awesome stuff. Okay, now we can siphon off this gas. Now, I'm not sure how much this thing has got. Oh, always the problem, you see. And because I'm doing this when I'm very tired, it's gonna take me a lot of hits to kill this guy. So that is why, generally speaking, you want to avoid taking fights when you're tired. But thankfully, I know that this area is relatively clear because we've been living around here for a little while now. Okay, that's it. 2,000 in each. We can transfer those when we want to. Not a huge amount, to be honest, but it might give us enough just to get to a gas station or just to move to the new base that we want to move into so that we're prepped for the helicopter event and the long term. But we've got a couple of days to do that in, but for now, that's going to be enough for us for the day. But that was good. We finally got ourselves a lead on a car. We know where one is. We've just got to go back and top it up with gas. We get that rolling. That will give us the facility that we need to move base. More importantly, to get our hands on some gas before the power goes off so that we can fill up our gas cans, try and grab larger items that we're going to need, like generators. Transporting one of those by hand can be very, very tricky, so we want the vehicle to transport that. And also, we can do a food run and stock up on some food before the helicopter event hits. We'll be good to go. But for now, it is 10:30. Let's give our character some sleep. Okay, so we are back with a brand new day. In our last video, we managed to get ourselves a little bit of gas, and we also managed to identify the location of a working vehicle. So the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to go get ourselves that vehicle. That is now my immediate priority that I want to try and get out of the way. Now, I have been thinking between the last video and this one. Previously, I was saying that I want to move to the fire station, which is over here, and get set up over there as soon as possible. But I think I'm instead going to opt to stay where I am until the helicopter event has passed. Otherwise, I would need to board up the fire station and get some curtains up and everything before day 6, as we're on day 5 now. So I'd need to do it today, and I don't think that's viable. So what we're gonna do is we're simply gonna skip moving, and we're gonna wait until after the helicopter event has been and gone before we move our base location. We can still, however, prep everything that we need or want to prep before our move. So I'm gonna recover the vehicle. I'm gonna head back to base. My next steps are gas, electricity, so we need a generator, and stocking up on food so that I have enough to sort of stay indoors, survive the helicopter event, and continue on. If you don't know what the helicopter event is, between the days 6 and 9, the helicopter shows up, makes a whole bunch of noise, and if it sees you, it will follow you and draw the zombies to your location. So what we want to do during that day is stay out of sight and stay indoors, or if we have a vehicle and enough fuel to do so, we can drive around somewhere else that we don't really care about and just stay on the move. But for me right now, I think our best bet will just be to stay indoors and stay out of sight. So we've got a couple of zombies on the road. We're just going to take our time here, work our way through them. We've got to get to this vehicle, and I want to avoid attracting as much attention as I can. So we're going to fight these zombies only if they aggro to me. Okay, so far, we're looking pretty good. Those zombies are leaving us alone currently. And we have already looted the library and the school, which was kind of like my goal with the school. The canteen is another option, but I feel like the food is probably rotten in there by now, or at least very close to it. I think the taxi is on this driveway. Alrighty, so our goal here is just to fill this up and get back home. I might loot this house while we go. Oh, there's another one right here. It's got to be for one of these, right? Yeah, all right. Let's fill this thing up. Now, the amount of fuel we've got is not great, and I'm waiting to see how much this is going to add up to. I don't think it's going to be a lot, so we're going to have to put hitting the gas station pretty high on our priority list, I feel like. Yeah, okay, so the vehicle's running as we knew, but our gas is very low, so we're gonna get this back to base, and then I think we may just go to the gas station and try to get that sorted. Oh, geez, okay. I'm gonna make the decision, I think, with the rest of this day. What are we at with the carpentry? Level 2. Okay, we're gonna stop and we're gonna watch carpentry before we go any further. I'm just gonna leave this on the neighbor's drive. I'm sure they won't mind. I'm gonna hit life and living, get hopefully our 3rd level in carpentry or close to it. We can prep a little, maybe a couple of supplies to take with us. But then I think we're gonna try and hit the gas station and the grocery store. Wouldn't mind if we start reading some electrical. We can eat the rest of this mutton chop. We've got a good amount of fresh food in storage right now. I'd say when we go to the supermarket, we can focus on picking up like non-perishables. We're gonna bring peanut butter with us as our go snack, and we're gonna start reading the electrical book. Now, the reason we're reading this, just as a reminder, is that if we can get our electrical to level 3, we automatically learn how to use a generator, which bypasses the need for the generator operating manual magazine. Skip a little bit of time here, which I'm only really doing because I know we're in relative safety. Usually, I don't like to skip time. Some people use it very freely. I'm not a big fan. Okay, that's given me about half a level, so I think if we can catch tomorrow's life and living, we should get to level 3 for carpentry, and that will give us the ability to make composters and some other stuff, like I believe rain collectors are also level 3, which will give us some more sort of like forward planning for basing. Oh, hello. Okay, we've got like 3 zombies. We should probably clear these out just because they're like right next to base. So let's get rid of these guys. Okay, nice and easy. Let's start collecting digital watches as well. The reason I'm doing that is so that we can use them later to grind out our electrical skill. Electrical is basically one of the only skills that you can still get XP from dismantling stuff. Okay, we have 22 storage in here. Not great. I'd imagine that's damaged in some way. We're gonna head to the gas station and the Giga Mart. Now, there's a lot of zombies up here, so I am just gonna try my best not to hit any, just so we don't do any unnecessary damage to the cars. Now, you guys are going to see quite how busy it is in the high streets on Project Zomboid now with the zombie distribution changes. You can see there are a fair few zombies around. Now, this is the food place, and I'm just kind of scouting this out. So there's quite a few zombies. I don't think I'm going to risk this. A little bit of a scouting run. The next place we're going to is the gas station, which is just up here on the right. Wow, lots of zombies. Okay. Oh, it's been burned down in this playthrough. I'm not going to commit to this because I feel this is very unsafe. Be very careful driving off-road, not to get stuck in any bushes or trees, and we'll just make our way back. A little bit of a scouting run, but I think for now... Oh no. We're out of gas. So that's how far that amount of gas got us. Not very, but we don't need to panic. We can outwalk most of these zombies. I think this is one of the biggest things with Project Zomboid. In this kind of situation, I think a lot of people would panic and use all their stamina trying to run away. We don't need to. The important thing is that we take action immediately. Now, you'll notice again that I'm guiding zombies around buildings, putting hard objects between me and them, and that's gonna increase the difficulty they have tracking me. Now, I know I'm gonna pull a lot more as we're walking around, and that's okay. I still have my gas cans, so I'm potentially going to try, I think, and identify some extra vehicles. This one has some, for example. I don't think I'm going to get the time. No. I'm not going to get the time to siphon gas like I would want to. I think we got like a tiny bit there. I can identify that vehicle on the map, so let's try and find a little bit of breathing room. Open my map. Okay. It's behind the yellow building. Don't want to take that alleyway as much as it might be tempting. I'm just opting not to dip through these buildings because I'm not really sure how safe they are inside. Again, you'll notice that I'm only really sprinting or jogging even in short bursts because usually I can outwalk the zombies. I can outmaneuver them at walking speed. I'm going to use this house. Put a little bit of distance between me and them. Use the fences to our advantage as well, just to slow them down, and keep using these houses to buy me some breathing room. So, not the run we were hoping for. The gas did not last very long at all. Has not changed our main goals, that being that we need food and gas. But you can see, again, all is not lost. We managed to buy ourselves some space. We're okay. Nothing crazy has happened. And we can always mark those things on our map for later. And once we're in a better position and we've learned a little bit more about combat, and once you feel a little bit more comfortable, maybe once you've got your stuff prepared for the long term, I can go back and I can recover those vehicles, and that's okay. Nothing drastic has happened that we can't recover from at this stage. Just trying to track this zombie here, just get him out of the way. Come on now. Come on. I can't remember if we've already checked this place. I don't think we have. Okay, nothing of value. So, let's take a moment to look at our map. We're going to mark up where the vehicle was, which was up here somewhere, I believe. And we also had gas here. So that's two things at the very least, even though we've actually lost our vehicle. We now know where gas is, should we need it. And I think, personally, that we might even be able to attempt the Giga Mart on foot. It will be a little bit of work, but I think we can do that. The biggest thing is we haven't panicked and we're okay. Now, with the rest of my day, it is 4:20. I'm gonna attempt to start clearing the way a little bit towards the supermarket, I think, towards the Giga Mart. There's gonna be a lot of fighting involved here, I think. So I'm gonna go back this way and I'm gonna pull away a couple of zombies at a time, and I'm just gonna try and work on a little bit of clearance towards the Giga Mart. Now, if you're wondering how I'm doing that, I'm just pressing Q. If I do that while I'm crouched, then it will whisper. If I press Q while I'm standing, it will yell. It's a timeless classic that people play pranks on newer players and tell them that Q is for the cure and stuff like that. It is not, in fact, for the cure. There is no cure. But we can use it to our advantage to draw away zombies from time to time. Okay, this is a little more attention than I wanted, and that's all right. We can keep using the environment to our advantage here. So as you can see, I'm just using the fences here and there just to either buy me some time or get me those instant kill hits. And where possible, I'm also trying to stomp on the zombies to buy myself some extra time before muscle strain kicks in my arms. Now, do I have to clear all these zombies? Complex question, but in my mind, no, but it's preferable. And the reason I say that is because this is the route to the Giga Mart. It's not very far away. And while I know that I can lose them, I'm heading into what is an unknown area. And I'm not confident that I can lose them whilst pushing into a zone that I know has zombies. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to expand the area that we know is clear, so that if I attract too many zombies at the Giga Mart, I can always fall back. I'll just take a moment here. We've got the time to do so. Wow. Okay, there's a lot of zombies around here. Try and keep drawing one or two away here and there, but I am noticing that my character is getting out of breath, which is causing me some trouble. And we've got even more over here. These zombies are really following me more further than I expect to, so I'm going to try and lure them around the buildings a little bit. This is turning into a much larger project than I suspected it would, but that's all right. Really, at this point in time, I know where the things are that we want in order to prepare. I suppose the big thing about this as well is that it doesn't matter. If surviving this 7 days takes the form of me fighting zombies for the next 2 days, that's okay. I know where the things are that I want to prioritize on. We know where our vehicle is. It can take us all the time in the world to get back to those things, to find ourselves a generator. We have a ton of time to work with. I would much rather be careful than try and rush things. Drawing them over towards this house, you can see one of them stuck on the door. This one's coming over and I should be able to use this window to my advantage, assuming they don't get stuck on the door. There we go. Let's take another rest. We're missing the exposure survival, but that's all right. Not really one of my primary concerns right now. Let's switch to the nightstick, I think, rather than using our hammer. Back to clearance work. How was our weight situation doing? Steady 78. Okay, that's not bad. So there would be an up arrow if I was gaining or a down arrow if I was losing. Steady at 78 is a good place to be. Remember, we want to be between 75 and 80 ideally. And that's good for us. Where are these zombies? I feel like they were around the back of this house. Might have lost a good bunch of them now. Let's just try and continue making our way up this road towards the Giga Mart. I know this is going to take us some time, but it's worth doing. We can avoid some of them, but I know I'm going to end up getting into a big fight around the Giga Mart, which is just here. So I'd rather have a clear area to retreat to when I need to. Got a decent group of zombies just in front of the church. If there's any vehicles outside the church, I might be able to siphon some gas from them. Now that we know that the gas station is so busy, that's basically my next best option, is to siphon gas from other vehicles. Yeah, we're gonna draw a lot of zombies here, I think, because they'll be hiding in the nooks and crannies of these buildings. As long as we keep using the fences to our advantage, we should be able to clear out a really decent group. This is like one of the biggest tests of Zomboid is, in my opinion, is like endurance. Like, I know that I'm not gonna go doing anything stupid. It's more about, can I preserve my character's energy for as long as possible, and he is starting to get fatigued again. So I'm gonna lure these zombies away and find a little bit of space for myself to take another break. It's getting around towards the end of the day, so really right now all we're doing is clearing as much as we can, but Zomboid is definitely not a sprint. It is a marathon. So again, I'm just gonna retreat back to this house. I know it's clear, so we can take a moment and take a seat. Am I losing weight? I am losing weight again, so we're just gonna have something to eat, and that's fine. And I'm eating high-calorie foods, cereal, peanut butter, things like that, to try and pack on the pounds, as it were. Starting to think that this journey is going to be a long one to clear this road. I can hear at least 2 or 3 in this building. Okay, 2 more on the way. My back is clear. It's worth me doing a spin every so often just to check behind me, make sure none are sneaking up on me, even though I know the area behind me is relatively clear. Good stuff. Any watches these guys have for me? Not really. What about these ones? Nope. I think it's getting around to the time where I need to start thinking about getting back to base. Oh, okay, yeah, we don't want to deal with those right now. Yeah, I think this is going to have to be back to base time. One thing as well, as I've killed like a lot of these zombies, you can see that the odor is building in the area. There are some rumors that this in itself has a negative effect on your character. That is not the case. There's nothing to back that currently. All it is basically doing is warning us that corpse sickness could be generated in the area. Because previously you just used to, the first sign of corpse sickness you used to get in build 41 was queasy. You would get queasy and that would be the signal, oh, I've got to get out of here. Now, you don't need to get to that point. You will know that the area is a risk as soon as you see that moodle. You can use masks to prevent that from building. Most masks are uncomfortable to wear for your character. Oh, we've got a seed packet there, actually. It's just for, yeah. Just for herbs. Nothing really that I'm going to be too worried about. Do we need any more curtains? We do need like a couple of extra curtains for the doors and the windows. We'll probably stay downstairs when the helicopter event happens as well. Just stay out of sight. To be honest, I think right now, all we can really do is just keep working our way towards that Giga Mart. And that's all we're going to do with our time from here is work our way towards some food. I know that in that Giga Mart, we'll be able to get ourselves a freezer unit, which is going to be difficult to get back to base without the car, but we can give it a try and we'll just take our time with it. I'm gonna place this extra gas can on the table here and we'll stuff our face. We'll go ahead and throw this in here. Some extra food. My character isn't tired, but it is getting around to 10 p.m. I feel I would almost rather go to bed now to keep a good sleep schedule than push it too much further. I feel like my character will be very soon getting tired. We're gonna head to sleep now. There it is. Just as I was saying that, it's kicked in. We've got a good handle on when our character is getting tired, which is important to keep a good schedule. So if I go to sleep now, we'll probably be up in plenty of time to have a full day ahead of us. So while it doesn't look like we've actually made that much progress today, I think the important thing is that we've identified that the gas station is overrun. It is not a viable approach for us right now. We've identified a vehicle that has gas that can be siphoned even on our way back. We know that we are close to the Giga Mart. We know that we can make our way there. And I think that should be our primary goal, is stocking up on some food ready for the helicopter event, which could arrive at any point starting tomorrow until day 9. It is day 6. I think at this point, it is important for me to note, once again, that we could have the helicopter event come up at any time, and we're just going to have to keep our ears open. Now, one of the biggest things about the helicopter event is that we could actually work out when it's arriving. We could at least get a very small heads up. Those come from radios. If we have a radio and we leave it on the emergency broadcast frequency, which not all radios have access to, but if we were able to get that, we would get like I think it's a day's heads up you get before the helicopter arrives. But unfortunately, that is not something we have. So the biggest thing with that in mind is we don't want to stray too far from our base. Even if we do, we want to take like a book with us. Something that we can do while we stay indoors and stay in cover. Just grabbing some extra sheets for our windows here. Antibiotics, really good thing, helps us fight infections should we get one. Not the zombie virus. That's something that will not help against, unfortunately. Nothing does. Okay, this should be enough sheets. I'm just gathering some extras so we can block off those extra windows. Oh, hello there. We can talk very briefly about fog. Fog in build 41 didn't really have a purpose. It would just serve to be a bit of an annoyance to the player. But in build 42, fog does indeed have an effect on the zombies, and it makes it more difficult for the zombies to see you. It reduces like their awareness. So with that in mind, it would not be a bad idea for us to try and use that as a chance to get closer to the Giga Mart. Maybe try and sneak around some zombies while there's some fog. Now, I'm not saying it would be successful. It is an option, and we can try and be a little bit more sneaky using the fog to our advantage. So I think that's all of the windows now covered. Yes. Okay, we'll leave our extra sheets up here. We've got some food to bring with us, and we're going to grab a book before we head out as well, just so that we have one with us in the event that we need to dip into a building and just stay hidden, at least we have a book that we can use during that downtime to learn some skills. But our main goal from here really is just to continue to work our way towards the Giga Mart. I don't think there's really anything else on my cards right now. Obviously gas, but we're limited on that front since we don't have a vehicle. I'm definitely glad that we made the decision to... Ooh, there's a few zombies in here. Oh, that's okay. Definitely glad we made the decision to stay at this temporary safe house a little bit longer. Okay, you're just gonna go around the fence. They're getting smarter. Not that smart, though. That was a nice little group that we dealt with there. It's gonna make our home base a little bit safer. Now, I really am keeping my ears open right now, because as soon as we hear any signs of a helicopter, we are dipping back to base as quickly as possible. I wonder if that's a radio or a TV. Okay, a couple zombies in here. Check the bookcase. Nothing. Oh, I've actually been in here. I remember the bread next to the TV. Couple of zombies around here. And just using fences wherever we can. I'm gonna try and be a little bit sneaky here. Our condition on our weapon is still really good. Okay, we're not gonna try and be sneaky, just like that. There were a bunch of them hidden behind that building. But again, no need to panic. We'll just use... Oh god. Okay, so that is called a meta event. That gunshot was to my, I think my back left. And you should see that a lot of zombies will now start moving that way, probably. Which is not great for me, in this case. And just making our way through all of these zombies. I'm just checking that these watches don't have alarms set on them either. I do want to make sure we try and catch Life and Living. That's in 2 hours. There's a zombie in there. We can catch the carpentry show today. That would be amazing. I think we can get our last level that we need. Chemical warfare, gas masks, recharge filters, sure. Headphones, I believe. Yep, we can dismantle those. For electrical, bag of fish fingers. That's a British staple right there. A British staple. There's nothing better than a good fish finger sarnie, probably with ketchup. I hear a zombie. Hello. Oh, a radio. It'll probably be too much to ask for me to find this with a emergency radio frequency, but we will check just in case. No emergency broadcast frequency on this one. Now, there are some extra uses to these. I can remove the battery from this, for example, for my flashlights. Batteries are bugged. Do have a couple of bugs right now, so that could be useful for us. We'll keep that battery. You can also dismantle it for electronics XP if that is the way we want it to go. I go to Life and Living. Tune in, and we'll just hang out here for a minute. We can loot upstairs while we wait. The important thing is that we are making progress towards the Giga Mart. House is very similar to the one we're actually in right now. Leather gloves. We already have some of those. Exactly the same. The only reason I'm going around closing up the curtains right now is just on the off chance that the helicopter shows up. Is it completely necessary? No, but should the helicopter show up, I want to be ready to just sit in a room and do very little of anything until it goes away. So we're going to make sure that all of these curtains are closed. Okay, 20 minutes, and then we can watch this show, and then we'll keep moving towards the Giga Mart. We can crack open the bag of fish fingers, why not? Y'all are watching Woodcraft. Okay, we're gonna be getting very close to the end of Woodcraft now. Read our book while that's going on. Alrighty, we are very, very close to leveling up, but I don't think, oh, maybe? I don't think we're gonna gain enough. We're gonna be close, but yeah, we're close, but not quite there. Our fish fingers are cooking. We'll let them finish off, and then we'll head back out. If you guys didn't know as well, in Build 42, you can also use stovetops to light your cigarettes. That is something that can be done. Previously, it was only available through a mod, but if you have a smoking character, they can now be used to do that too. So it's looking fairly quiet. I wouldn't mind seeing if there's any cars parked outside the church. It's eerie quiet right now. The Giga Mart is just behind these buildings. There is a vehicle over here. Let's go and check this out. Do we have a gas can? We do. We have everything we need to siphon. Oh, it's a prisoner transport. Interesting. I wonder what we might find in here. It does have gas. Okay, that is a big find. It does have gas. Now, does it have a key? Trunk's locked. It does have a key. 9 mil rounds and a lighter. Let's see what we got here. Oh, wow. Okay. Possibly the smallest amount of gas I have ever seen. Shin guards. I haven't even seen these. Possibly the smallest amount of gas I've ever seen. However, we do have a little bit. Let's try these. Let's see if this makes us uncomfortable. Well, they look cool. Neat. They seem to overtake the knee pads, but that's okay. Now, I do have a little bit of gas on me. It's not much. I am tempted to use this to loot the Giga Mart because it's practically parked outside. The fog is starting to dissipate, which, you know, has its good and bad sides. I'm a little bit worried by all these zombies, but we're gonna have to start some clearance if we want to get in there, I think. It's that or we check the front, but I feel like it's going to be much the same over there. I think we just start pulling zombies and dealing with them a little bit at a time, and we can throw our loot into that truck and drive it back to base. It seems like there's a few less out the front. So what I'm attempting to do here is I'm just fighting on what I think is the edge of their hearing range. And I'm attempting to use this to my advantage to pull away like a few of them, but not all of them. And so far, it seems to be working in my favor. Now, if I had enough ammunition, the other course of action I could take is I could obviously go in guns blazing here, but we don't really have enough ammunition to do so in the shotgun that we have back at base. I think I would end up drawing way more than I'd be able to deal with. And you can see like these zombies gradually getting closer to me, and that's probably because like of the noise they're hearing from combat. I'm just gonna keep pulling away the odd one or two and keep working away at this. Whoops. Swing and a miss. But we're making good headway here. Just check my back, nothing behind me. Good swing. And again, just remember you can stand on the zombies to keep them down. Nice hat. I'll take that. Thank you. Was there any functional reason for me taking that hat? No, zero. There was zero functional reason. Did I want it though? Yes. And sometimes you've just got to take small joys from the situation. It's gonna take me a while to get into the supermarket, so we might as well use the time, right? And have some fun. Starting to get fatigued. We are reaching maximum effort. There's some more coming over from my left. Just trying my best here to take things easy. Try and stagger the zombies so that I can fight one at a time. Police zombie. I think we've still got a fair few of them that we need to clear out by the Giga Mart. Come on, buddy, fall over. All right, we're gonna take a moment. Remember that we can look around while we're sitting down. We're doing this in an open area just so we've got like enough room here to breathe, to see stuff coming way in advance. Our weight is actually gaining now, so we can stop eating. I'm not too worried about the gun that the police officer had either. Our aiming skill is not great. I have found that pistols especially are a bit harder to use in the new update. Not sure if that's just me. Shotguns seem to be the easiest. Pistols like that used to be pretty easy to use, but I believe it's been changed a little bit now. And also, I very strongly doubt that we'd have enough ammo. This looks like a survivor zombie to me. Yeah, it is. He's got some elbow pads, some fresh boots that are in good condition as opposed to ours that are half broken. Not sure I'm a big fan of the balaclava. Also looks like it's been ripped apart, so let's drop that. Now, I'm interested to see if the elbow pads or the shin guards are too much at once and we start to get uncomfortable, but let's see. Not as big as a group anymore outside the Giga Mart. I feel like we've been successfully whittling them down. Yeah. There's now the door's broken, which leads me to believe that potentially This is the thing. Potentially there could be a lot more in the back entrance there because the door is broken, so there could be some inside. But we've done a pretty good job of clearing some of these. Now the tricky part is to try and get a couple of their attention here without drawing the whole group. So I'm just gonna edge my way closer bit by bit and wait for one of them to seemingly notice me. Okay, here comes one. Excellent. Just like that, we've pulled one away. Now, I might draw a couple more from fighting, which would be fine. Because this one's going to take ages to fall over. Got a big group massing on that side too. I'm going to pivot around a little bit here. So you've got a couple in the trees and a large group just by the door. That's the group we need to get rid of to get inside. And again, we're just going to edge our way closer. This one seems to have spotted me. My biggest thing right now, to be honest, is that I don't think there's going to be enough time in the day for us to do this. We're going to have to work relatively quickly. That's my main concern. They're all looking the other way right now, which makes it hard to attract their attention. So they're all looking away from me. I think I'm instead going to draw these guys. Okay, a couple more of them now. A little bit more fatigue kicking in, so let's take a moment. This is the trouble, you see, with having to work through these big groups like this. We're going to get fatigue often, and we're going to need to take breaks often, and unfortunately, there's no real way around that. That's just how it's got to be. We've just got to take our time with it. Now, if I wanted to, what I could do is set an alarm on one of my watches. In fact, let's go ahead and do that, right? We are wearing a watch. We could go ahead and set an alarm, and we're going to set it for 9 p.m. And that's going to be my, okay, you have to get out of here. That's my final warning, as it were. Now, if my alarm goes off, watches don't draw too much attention. If it were like an alarm clock or something like that, it would. So if you're already thinking like, oh, that'll draw the zombies though, not particularly. Not for a digital watch. Should be relatively safe. Would only really draw them if they were right next to me. And we're in a position now where we are actually managing to get a lot closer to the building. I did see one or two inside. I think it was just one that I saw. Also, you see some bodies at like the bottom of the stairs there, which is a bit weird. Because I've not been in here, so they must have been there when the game started. So I'm going to grab these last couple. Just back up, just so I'm not right next to an open doorway, just in case they try to sneak up on me. There's one on the inside of that door, by the looks of it, I think. A little bit of attention coming from elsewhere. I'm just constantly keeping an eye open here on my surroundings. We've got one on the inside here on this door. We are in. Flashlight comes out. Looks like we're all right. Okay, now my focus currently is on non-perishables. As much as I love the cooking in this game, and it is something that I quite often enjoy, right now my focus should be on calories. Okay, tiredness is kicking in. That doesn't surprise me. We've had a very active day. So we want stuff that's going to give us calories, stuff that's going to last a long time. I could drink a soda. Again, just so you guys are aware, I think we've mentioned this a couple times. I could drink a soda here and get rid of this tiredness because they are bugged right now. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get used to it. That's a bad idea. What I am going to do is check these last couple shelves. We are stocking up on as much as we can carry, really. I think this is basically all we need. I'm going to take a quick look in the store. Store is relatively clear, but this is pretty much all we need at this point. A little bit intrigued by all these zombies, to be honest, and how they just ended up dead on the ground. So weird. I've never seen this. Key to the food market as well on this guy, should we have needed it. Very strange. Okay, I'm gonna turn my alarm off because we are heading out now. Those are the ice freezers that I want to get hold of. I want to get one of those because they have great storage capacity and will allow us to freeze some fresh food. If we can, I'm going to try my best and get back to this truck that we know has a little bit of gas. I'm going to load this food up and I'm going to go back for that fridge freezer. It's a little bit of a risk with how tired we currently are, but I'm going to give it a try. Just wait for it to transfer these goods over. My thinking is that the fruit cocktail should have a good amount of calories, should be a decent thing for us to pick up. Whether it is or not, I'm not 100% sure, but that's my thinking. All right, we're gonna add some gas. It's not gonna be much, but it should be enough to get us back home. Check the front right seat and make sure it's empty, because that's where the fridge freezer is gonna go. You can use seats to hold heavy items. Now, one thing I can do as well, if I want to avoid hitting these trees while I'm walking through the woods, I can use the right click function, do walk to, and just click where I'm gonna go. My character will pick the best route without hitting those trees. You can see he diverts around them. So if you do want to avoid like thick clusters of trees like that, you can do that. It's a very good way to avoid zombies if they're chasing you, especially. Not something I usually do, but it is an option. I think I'd like to try and maybe get around this zombie. I don't know if I want to draw a fight. I think it's gonna spot me. I don't think it spotted me. If it spots me on the way out, that's a different thing. That's okay. Ooh. All right, we're on a time limit now. Those zombies have seen us. This freezer has nothing in it, so we can grab it. We've got it. Now we are very, very heavy. Fighting is going to be difficult with this, so I want to avoid a fight wherever possible. We're gonna get muscle strain. That's all right. As you can see, it is building up because we're overweight right now, but because we've taken precautions and we've cleared this area already, we can make it back to the vehicle. Again, I'm going to use the walk to function to avoid these trees. We're going to jump right in the vehicle. We're going to offload this onto the passenger seat. Even though it says that it comes up red, it does work. Always been a tried and true method. The vehicle runs. That's great news. Quite slow, but that's all right. As long as she works. I think we can just about squeeze through here. Yep. You can see how some vehicles like this are negatively affected by off-roading as well in comparison to others. Like, we found it like relatively okay to do in our other vehicle, but this one does not react well to being off-road. Okay, we made it back. Now, I noticed we had a zombie approaching us here, so we should deal with that. Now, you'll see how many hits this takes me because I'm tired. You can see why fighting with tiredness is never advised, but it is important that we try and get as much of this indoors as we can before we go to sleep, because if the helicopter event shows up, it's important we have at least some food indoors. We can leave maybe like the boxes of cans, that's fine. We're gonna grab the fridge freezer. Okay, I can't do that, too much in my inventory. Offload first. Great run though. That is a very, very successful run for us. And I think this is one of the lessons to take away from this video. If things look busy on a scouting run like we did, we drove past the Giga Mart and we identified like, wow, there were a lot of zombies there. And it was going to be really difficult to get in there. With the new stealth system, how it is not impossible. Even if there seems to be a lot of zombies, just take your time. This game, as we've said, is a marathon, not a sprint. And it is possible. You've just got to take your time with it. I'm going to clear some space here so I can grab this fridge freezer. We are getting so tired, so this is definitely a good time for us to get some sleep. We can put this here in front of the window. I think we'll put it here. All right. So because this building has power, that freezer will now have power. And with that, we can grab something to eat and then go get some sleep. Grab something with a decent amount of calories. We're putting on weight, but that's okay right now. And that brings us to the end of yet another day. And we will be approaching our final day in the series when we wake up. Let's see if we get the helicopter event. All right. No helicopter events. I am also noticing, however, that we are slightly uncomfortable, which could be down to our armor. So we are jumping into the very last day of our surviving your first week video, or series rather. I'm going to unequip these shin pads for now. Now I'm going to keep them on me. We were able to wear these for quite a long time before the discomfort kicked in, so I am going to keep them on me. But our focuses right now are, biggest first and foremost is to try and find a generator so that we have a solution for when the power goes off. I also want to try and acquire water dispensers from the fire department and possibly an extra bottle from the police department too. And then we're also going to build a rain collector and or fill additional containers with water. And lastly, fuel is on our list as well. But fuel will probably go to the back of our list because we have a bunch of non-perishables from our run to the Giga Mart that we got done in the last episode. episode. So, biggest thing that I'd maybe like to do is look for a generator, but in the time that we don't have a lot. I'm actually going to go straight for the fire department, and I'm going to just go and check out the area, and I think we're going to start like kind of clearing it out a little bit and get my hands, if I can, on the water dispenser up front. Now, water dispensers are a big thing, and the important thing is to try and acquire one before the water goes off, because then we can fill it up with clean water in advance of the water shutting off. If we acquire one afterwards, that dispenser might not be full, and then we're going to have to make do with whatever's in there and try and fill it up with collected water, which will take longer. Just checking the condition of this guy's clothes versus our own here. As soon as it's looking like we see zombies, I'm going to put these shin pads back on. Also, one thing I've actually learned while I was making a tips and tricks video, the discomfort bar is actually very misleading. The discomfort and the combat speed modifiers that you see at the bottom of the panel there, the more green there is, the worse they are on those stats. I think that's incredibly misleading, but that is how that works. The more there is in the bar, the worse it is. I think that can be fixed very easily, personally, with changing that bar to the color red. But yeah, something to definitely be aware of at the very least. Okay, it's not looking too bad. We do have a little bit of clearance work to do here, but that's all right. Again, we're going to pick up these digital watches because I want to learn electrical. Man, there's a lot of these guys. So if we let discomfort build from those items that we're referencing there, essentially what would happen is we would start to get unhappy as a result the longer that we leave discomfort running for. I think we can get around these guys, you know. I'm maybe going to pull the couple here, but because they're in front of the window, but the water dispensers in this room. All right, there's the water dispenser. It's also important to notice or to know that any of the items that have like protection values to them, like the shin pads, for example, will reduce like either your run speed or your combat speed. And usually that corresponds to where they are on your character. So the shin pads would reduce my movement speed, and the elbow pads, because they're on my arms, would reduce my combat speed. You have to be careful with that because, well, you might think just grabbing all of them is a good thing. Obviously, the more you stack, the bigger effect it's going to have. So you do need to be careful not to overdo it. So we've got the water dispenser. Now, frustratingly, you can't actually take the bottle off of these and then still carry the dispenser. You have to actually carry it while the bottle is on it. Kind of hoping that gets fixed in the future, but you have to leave the bottle on it to pick it up. Probably going to miss the carpentry show, which is going to be a bit of a bummer. I might see if we can dip in this house here. I know I'm building fatigue here. We know this area is relatively clear, so I'm going to see if I can get in there really quickly. Oh? Is there a radio I'm missing here? Because there's no TV. I don't know what's happening. That's all right. Base is there. I think we can make it. Oh no. Okay, that is real poor timing. The taking out the zombie is going to be a pain. And of course we aggro another one. You can see how the fatigue and the pain is making this a real push. Right, I'm gonna try and dash just to try and catch the carpentry show. We might already be too late, but let's find out. Yeah, it looks like unfortunately we're too late for this one. But that is not the end of the world. We are very close to hitting carpentry level 3. So that is the main thing. Carpentry level 3 is when like the carpentry skill really opens up, and we'll just double check. Yes, rain collectors are level 3, so we need to get there first. Now I'm just giving my character a moment to recover here. I am also going to take off these shin guards since they're uncomfortable for my character. And we're just reading the electronics book right now. Now I think because we have the water dispenser, which we'll go and collect here in a moment, our next goal can be to go and get the extra bottle from the police department. That will give us 2 bottles of full water. Off the top of my head, I think they're 14,000 milliliters each, but we'll check that here in a moment. How is our weight doing? Our weight is at a steady 79. That is good. Okay, let's go and grab that bottle. We don't need anything that's gonna like really fill us with calories right now, so I'm gonna grab a cucumber from the freezer and I'll just let that defrost in my inventory for a moment, and we'll go pick up the water dispenser. Okay. So it's 10,000 milliliters each. 10,000. So we're going to have a total of 20 when we get that extra bottle. Alrighty, let's go ahead and place that like just here at the end of the kitchen. All right, so next thing we want to do, we want to take the bottle off this and we're going to fill it up while we have running water. Now you'll notice that the bottle is 15,000, but as soon as I put it on the dispenser, it'll go to 10,000. And that is a bug with build 42 at the moment. I'm unsure which that will end up being once it's been fully fixed, but I guess we'll find out. Now we're going to go and get the extra bottle from the police department. Got to keep an eye on my muscle strain here. We have given quite a bit of that to our character. Ooh, I just caught something going through that tree. Not to worry though, it is just a scratch. My main problem here actually is that we're in pain as a result. And that right there is actually a really good demonstration of why that walk to function to go through trees that we showed off last episode is a really, really good idea. Because you saw how I was only in that tree for about half a second and it gave me a scratch. And that's probably damaged my gloves also. Yeah, but that's all it took. That was very unlucky, but it does happen. I'm actually gonna grab like an extra t-shirt or something here just to rip up into rags. We do have like a good couple of them and they are sterilized already, but it'll be good to have a couple of extras. Okay, just one extra because these are dirty. Okay, so we've still got quite a few zombies in the area. And remember, we want to keep our ears open as well, because there is, at any moment, the chance that the helicopter could show up. And if that happens, we want to dash inside and try to cut off its line of sight to us. If it happens while we're at this police station, I am going to be in a very bad spot. But we'll see what happens. I'm keeping my health panel open here. The only reason I'm doing that is just so that when our bandage does eventually go dirty, I know about it. Now, if I left a dirty bandage on the wound, I would increase the chance that it would get infected. So to stop that from happening, I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I believe the water dispenser was in the main office. Okay. There's a couple of zombies in here. Not to worry though. That's okay. Try and draw them over to the windows. Ooh. Okay, I think that radio has drawn a bunch of them in. So I am gonna have to watch my back here. This is probably gonna be more than I anticipated. Wow, okay. Feel like I got a little cheated there out of that one. And my problem here is that my pain is going to come back. So we'll take some more painkillers before we fight this next batch. Okay, that's those two. Still got like a couple in here. Now, that was the dangers of using windows in combat shown right there. Getting knocked over like that in that kind of situation is not great, obviously. I was very lucky to survive there. But we have, so we'll make it count. Now, if the helicopter happens to show up here, I think I'm just going to dash into the armory room where there's no windows. Good stuff. We did well to survive that. It sounds like there might be one in the office there, yeah. Just checking to see if there might be any emergency frequency on that one. There is not, unfortunately. Okay, so we're gonna take the bottle. I don't think this has a lot in it. Is it enough for us to put in our backpack? Yes. Excellent. And we're out of here. I'm actually gonna just check the lockers in here as well to see if there's any radios maybe that we could dismantle for XP. We've got something. Actually wondering where that is. Could be on the roof, maybe. We can dismantle a camera. Yeah, so we got another radio up here. Let's check this one. Nope. No luck. Now, one thing as well that I could do, which isn't worth me doing right now because I don't really have the carrying space, but we could actually dismantle these static radios as well, but we'd have to pick them up first, and they weigh a lot more than these little watches that we're carrying. So it's not really worth us picking them up just to lug them around right now. But if I'd already got my XP multiplier from the electrical book, I could dismantle them. There's an awful odor here. This is actually one of the biggest problems that you can face with the new build if you're not careful. Once you reach that highest level of the smell moodle, that's when we start building sickness. So because that was at the highest level, that's somewhere I don't want to be for any longer than I have to. But we have the extra water dispenser bottle. That means that we have pretty much solved our water problem. There are, of course, other things that we might want to do, like build a rain collector once our carpentry hits level 3. And the other thing we can do is we can start filling extra containers with water if we want to. So any roasting pans, cooking pots, bowls, bottles, whatever it might be, we can start filling those with water if we feel like it would be beneficial. We are in a good spot. That is the main thing. With the rest of my day, we're going to start hitting some local garages for the chance that one of them might have a generator. That is going to be our last part of the day. Do we need one right now? No, but it's a good thing to start heading towards. Okay, so I'm going to learn from last time and I'm going to use the walk to function here to avoid getting cut on those trees. How is our bandage? Clean for now. Gotta keep an eye on that. So we'll fill this water dispenser bottle and then we'll just place that up here. And all of these containers here, the empty pan, the empty pot, if I needed to, I could fill those with water. We have quite an abundance right now, so it's not really necessary, but I could if I wanted to. Excellent. Now, let's head off to the local garages. What is this? I suppose it's survival. So I'll be getting some foraging XP from this one, just while we were passing through. Foraging has become an incredibly useful skill in Build 42 as well. I've seen some frankly amazing things being pulled from foraging. Zombie right here. Okay, are we just not the smartest zombie in the world, I guess? That's all right by me. There's more zombies around here than I remember there being before. A lot more. 7 p.m. I was really hoping that the helicopter might show up, to be honest, so that I could show you guys what to do with that. What we might do is, at the end of this episode, once we finish this day, if it hasn't shown up, I might play until it does, just to show you guys how to handle that, because I realize it can be quite a big event to get past. So we'll see if maybe we can add that to this episode, even if we go past the 7 days. But now my priority really is I'm just gonna check out local garages, see if we might find a generator. Oh, literally, first one we pick. And there's a vehicle key in here too. We missed this. Does actually have a little bit of gas. It might start. Again, not the best on gas, really. That seems to be the common problem with the vehicles we found in this run, but a working vehicle is a working vehicle. Okay now. Don't get up. Don't get up. I believe this is a premium generator. Now, I will admit, I'm not sure on the differences with the generators right now, but I know that there are now different types. Oh, I forgot about this. We have to open the passenger seat door so that we can place the generator on the passenger seat. So we go up to the vehicle and hit V for the context menu. We open the door, we'll wait for the zombies to stop trickling in, and then we're gonna have to grab the generator and put it on the passenger seat. We clear? I think there's still one in the house. So now we should be able to access the inventory of the front right seat while the door is open, and we can put the generator on the seat. We close the door. Important to remember to do that. The zombies can't reach us. Oh, the battery's gone. I think the battery's a non-starter. We're gonna have to carry this thing back to base, which is gonna be a little rough, and we're getting tired. So I think we eat something, we take a quick sit down, but as long as we get this back to base, that's the main thing. How far are we? Not very, really. It's not far. We can do it. We'll get it back to base, and then we can give our character some much needed rest. Okay, that should be enough. Let's do it. These things are heavy, 40 weight. This is going to definitely give me muscle strain. We have a dirty bandage we're gonna need to switch out, but we'll be all right. The helicopter shows up, we'll just have to drop it and run. One last thing about this generator is we need to place this outside. The reason behind that is if we put it indoors, it will fill the room with toxic fumes. You can see here, as I mentioned before, we get to electrical skill level 3 or the magazine, we can operate this. Now, ideally, we would place that within a fenced off area so that the zombies won't damage it. They do get drawn to the noise of generators and can damage it. So that is something as well to keep in mind. Now, we're getting tired. Not really reached bedtime yet, as it were. So we'll just sit by the TV, wind down our day. We'll round out reading some electronics, getting our electrical skill. We can skip a little bit of time here. We want to go to bed at about 11 p.m. at the latest. Pretty smooth sailing today. We had obviously a couple of bigger fights, a couple of tense moments, but we've made some progress. We've got water covered. We've got a generator covered. Now, if we were to progress into week 2, all we would need to do is learn how to use that generator, which we're already pretty close to because we've almost read this book. We're on our way to it, right? We know how we're going to get there. Or we find the generator magazine and then we just need a little bit of fuel, which we can get from a bunch of vehicles. So let's end our day there and we'll wait to see if the helicopter comes in overnight. If not, I'll keep playing a little bit to add to this video just so that we can show you guys what to do when the event one shows up, because it would be either today or the next day. So that's it. Now, that was the end of day 7, but as you've seen for yourself, the helicopter didn't arrive during this time, and as such, I played out just a little more of this playthrough, just until the helicopter did eventually make itself known. Now, during this time, I decided to stay as close to home as possible for the next day or two, and spent significant amounts of that time reading up on skill books, which is always something I'd advise around this time, because you're looking to be in a safe location when the helicopter arrives, and this is a great way to ensure that's the case while preparing yourself for the later stages of your playthrough. Anyway, here's a bit of extra footage for you to enjoy and learn from before we wrap up this series. Here we go. Here comes the helicopter. Right, so if you hear this sound, that tells us the helicopter is coming. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to stay away from any open windows. I didn't know that it did this. It actually mutes the sound of the helicopter underground. But yeah, we could stay in the basement, or we can just stay in the base. And that is exactly what we're gonna do. Nothing more complicated than that. We'll put an episode of Exposure Survival on. Now, if a zombie did come banging at our door, just because like they happened across and were just knocking at the windows or barricades, would I go outside and deal with them right now? No. I would have to leave them to bash on the window, potentially break it, and come in. I would have to do that. The reason behind that is if I step outside, the helicopter will focus on my character. It zones in on you and will follow you around and draw the zombies to your location. That is the simple reason why we're staying inside. We do not want the helicopter to follow us. It can't follow us if it can't see us, and that is that's all we're doing. You will have some time to react to that. You know, you could hear when it was on the way, it had a little bit of time before it arrived. So you do have a little bit of time to react. But yeah, realistically, you just have to stay inside. And by default, you only have to deal with this once. And I think that's it. The helicopter has been and gone, and with that, you have survived all of the major challenges within your first 7 days. Hopefully you found this useful, and maybe we'll do some more series like this in the future. So that's it from me in this video. Thank you so much again for all your support during this series. I really hope you found it useful, and I will catch you all in the next one.